Chapter 155. The teeth marks on Tang Zheng's shoulder are still clear, and the blood has already flowed out. Lu Qingmei gently stroked the wound and said self-reproachfully, "It must be very painful. How could you say it doesn't hurt?" Tang Zheng smiled. "It really doesn't hurt." Lu Qingmei snorted and rolled her eyes. "Why don't you bite me and return it?" Looking at the white and tender skin under her nightgown, Tang Zheng shook his head. "I can't do it. If other teachers and students knew that I bit you, I'm afraid they would tear me apart alive." Lu Qingmei couldn't help but cover her mouth and laugh. "I didn't expect you to be so humorous sometimes." She gently let go of his clothes and said, "I can't sleep. Why don't you talk to me for a while?" "Okay, what do you want to talk about?" Lu Qingmei rolled her eyes and said, "Let's talk about your life. You and your grandfather. In the future, you will be my little brother. Of course I want to know more about you." Tang Zheng hesitated for a moment, then began to talk about all kinds of things since he could remember. Lu Qingmei listened quietly. This was a story that wasn't very happy. In fact, the protagonist's life was very bitter. However, she didn't feel any resentment from Tang Zheng. Instead, she felt the faint warmth of mutual dependence with his grandfather that made the listener feel particularly moved. Dakshi gradually realized how ridiculous the misunderstanding she had of Tang Zheng in the past was. He was strong, optimistic, and confident. These seemingly ordinary characters mixed together to become the living person that Tang Zheng was. He didn't have a high and mighty radiance, but he was so real and kind. "That's all about me. It's nothing special," Tang Zheng said with a smile. His smile was clean and bright, as if it could dispel the night. The haze in Lu Qingmei's heart gradually dissipated. Lu Qingmei's mouth finally bloomed with a trace of a smile. She yawned and said, "Let's sleep. We still have to go to school tomorrow." Tang Zheng pretended to get out of bed, but was stopped by Lu Qingmei. "Sleep with me. I don't want to be alone. I'm afraid of having nightmares again." "This isn't a good idea." Tang Zheng hesitated as he looked at the beauty in front of him. Lu Qingmei saw that his eyes were looking at her nightdress. She didn't feel disgusted. Instead, she smiled and knocked his head. "What are you looking at? You're not honest. You're my younger brother. Can't you accompany your elder sister for a while?" "Then all right." Lu Qingmei lay down and pulled Tang Zheng to lie down as well. Then, she leaned half of her body into his embrace. That embrace was as warm as it was during the day, making her feel particularly at ease. She slowly closed her eyes, and unknowingly, she had already fallen asleep. But Tang Zheng was unable to fall asleep as he looked at the beautiful face that was inches away from him, as well as the soft half of her body that was leaning against him. He could clearly see the snow-white half of her body through the collar of her nightgown. She was not wearing a bra, so even though there was no way to get a full view, this half of her face was even more alluring. Tang Zheng couldn't help but think of her naked upper body during the day. His heart fiercely beat, and he swallowed a mouthful of saliva. She really wasn't on guard tonight. Tang Zheng was extremely conflicted. As a man who had already tasted the beauty of men and women, facing this kind of temptation was a type of torment. Looking at her calm and peaceful face, Tang Zheng suddenly felt as if he had been hit by a hammer. She trusted him so much. If he still did something beastly, then he would be worse than Song Donghua. He took a deep breath and suppressed the restless flames in his heart. He placed a hand on her waist and used all his strength to close his eyes. He didn't want to miss the beautiful scenery and fell into a deep sleep. The sky turned white and a ray of morning light shined in through the window. Lu Qingmei opened her dazed eyes and found that she was completely lying in his embrace. She was like a little kitten, curled up in his warm embrace. The corners of her mouth curved into a smile that was especially charming under the morning light, as if it could melt everything in the world. She hadn't slept so well in a long time. Last night, she didn't have any dreams. She only felt warm, as if she was soaking in a hot spring. She didn't know why she suddenly trusted him so much. She actually slept in the same bed as him without any defenses. This was something that she couldn't have imagined before. Seeing him peacefully sleeping, her heart moved. Perhaps it was because the two of them had experienced yesterday's matter, so they naturally had a mutual trust and intimacy. She wanted to get out of his embrace, but just as she moved, she found that there was something hard pressing against her lower body. Moreover, it was pressing against her most mysterious place. Although it was separated by clothes, she could clearly feel the hardness. Her entire body trembled as if she had been shocked by electricity. Of course she knew what it was. This was a man's most normal reaction in the morning. She couldn't help but feel a little flustered as her face turned red. She quickly and carefully tried not to touch that thing as she got out of bed. Seeing that he didn't wake up, she let out a sigh of relief. She panicked as she patted her towering chest and quickly left the bedroom. Tang Zheng's sleep was very good. Although it was a bit torturous at the beginning, he didn't feel much after he fell asleep. The sound from the kitchen woke him up. He crawled up and saw that there was no one beside him. He walked out of the bedroom and saw Lu Qingmei busying herself in the kitchen. Quickly go wash up. Breakfast will be ready soon. Lu Qingmei poked her head out of the kitchen and smiled at him. At this moment, Tang Zheng actually felt a little absent-minded. It was as if he was a husband who woke up and saw his wife preparing breakfast in the kitchen. That kind of warm feeling enveloped him and diluted the killing intent that he had accumulated during this period of time. He took a deep breath and drove away these messy thoughts. After washing up, breakfast was already on the table. Breakfast was very simple. There was porridge, eggs, and a small plate of pickles. After eating breakfast, Lu Qingmei dressed up. After a while, she turned into an ice goddess, completely different from the little woman from last night. Let's go. Lu Qingmei actually took the initiative to take Tang Zheng's hand and go downstairs. This scene was coincidentally recorded by a camera in a car in the distance. Lu Qingmei's minicar was towed to the repair shop so she could only take a taxi to work. When the two of them got out of the car in front of the school gate, they instantly attracted everyone's attention. Of course, Tang Zheng also received a lot of attention. Fortunately, Lu Qingmei did not take his hand, or else the whole school would have exploded. Lu Qingmei's kidnapping yesterday caused a stir in the city and everyone knew about it. When they saw that she was safe and sound at school, everyone let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, their goddess was safe and sound. Tang Zheng did not want to continue being the center of attention by her side, so he quickly walked towards the classroom while Lu Qingmei went to the office. There were only 10 days left until the college entrance exam. The atmosphere in the class was clearly tense. Yesterday's matter had come to an end and everyone returned to nervously preparing for the exam. Tang Zheng also did not dare to be careless. He seriously prepared for the exam and gradually integrated himself into this tense and busy school life. But after school, his life was completely different. Lin, who called to say that Huang Si wanted to see him. What will come will come. Huang Si's underlings had already been scattered by Lin, who so the biggest threat now was Huang Si. Obviously, Huang Si had found out that Tang Zheng was the mastermind behind the scenes. So he directly asked to see him instead of Lin, who and Fire Phoenix. The location was at the Huang family. Tang Zheng hid Battle Spirit on his body and then accompanied by Lin, who and Fire Phoenix to this high-walled courtyard. When Tang Zheng got off the car, the two elders nervously looked at him and volunteered. Young Master Tang, we will accompany you in. Tang Zheng waved his hand. It is not good to have too many people. Whether Huang Si wants to negotiate or fight, I am not afraid of him. You don't need to worry. He had Tian Chanzi's guarantee, so he was not afraid of Huang Si. Seeing that Tang Zheng had already made up his mind, Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix worriedly said, Young Master Tang, if Huang Si dares to act recklessly, we will rush in. Our people are all hiding behind that small hill. When the time comes, we will directly sweep through his lair. Tang Zheng laughed out loud. You guys must be addicted to sweeping the field. Lin Hu scratched his head and embarrassedly laughed. These past few days have been really satisfying. Originally, Hoodlum's lair was under our control. But because the matter is not over yet, we have not opened for business. Once Huang Si's problem is solved, we can open for business with great fanfare. When the time comes, the money will roll in. Soon, Tang Zheng looked deeply at the old mansion and meaningfully said. Tang Zheng walked towards the old mansion with large strides. Under the watchful eyes of Huang Si's two subordinates, he walked into the depths of the old mansion. Tang Zheng looked left and right. Although he did not see a single person, he was sure that there were countless pairs of eyes staring at him. He did not care as he swaggered into the main hall of the old mansion. Outside the main hall was a patio with flowers and plants. The lighting in the main hall was dim, but Tang Zheng was still able to clearly see that there was a person sitting in the middle of the hall. A middle-aged man with an imposing aura. There was no way to hide his murderous aura. He did not even try to hide it, as he openly let his murderous aura fill the entire main hall. Although there was only one person, the oppressive aura he gave off was much stronger than calling in a house full of people. Tang Zheng coldly laughed. A show of strength? He was not afraid of the other party's show of strength. He was even disdainful as he swaggered in and stood in the middle of the main hall staring at the other party. Huang Si also stared at him without blinking. This was not the first time he had heard of Tang Zheng's name. In the past, when Huang Ziang suffered at the hands of Tang Zheng, he already had thoughts of killing Tang Zheng. But in the end, Yi Tianlei intervened, and he had no choice but to give up. But he never would have thought that the two of them would still clash. Moreover, this clash was even more intense as it involved Huang Si's decades of foundation. This storm caused Huang Si to feel an unprecedented sense of danger. He did not believe that Tang Zheng was able to incite such a huge storm. He believed that there was someone behind Tang Zheng, and without a doubt, that person was Yi Tianlei. This was the reason why he did not make a move these past few days. He did not give Tang Zheng a thunderous blow, and instead invited him to his mansion. He disdained Tang Zheng, but he had no choice but to fear Yi Tianlei. Chapter 156. Their eyes met, but neither of them spoke. The atmosphere was somewhat heavy, oppressive to the point of suffocation. The disdain on Huang Si's face gradually disappeared and turned into a dignified expression. His eyes were bright and full of expression. For a youth to be able to remain calm in the face of this kind of pressure, just this courage alone was enough to make Huang Si take him seriously. He pointed to the large wooden chair beside him and said, "Sit." Tang Zheng complied and sat down. The servant served tea, but Tang Zheng did not drink it. This place was filled with danger, and if there was poison in the tea, then he would be finished here. "Young man, do you know what you have done?" Huang Si asked condescendingly. Tang Zheng shrugged his shoulders and casually said, "I swept your place." "Hung, sweeping my place, what a big tone. You really have guts." Huang Si's eyes flashed as he said with a murderous look. Tang Zheng curled his lips and said, "If you don't have guts, then you don't need to eat this bowl of rice. You are like me in the past, daring to fight and risking your life. At such a young age, you were able to stand out among your peers." Tang Zheng laughed. "I am not like you." Huang Si laughed coldly. "There is a difference, but I am not as ignorant as you. I know what to do and what not to do, otherwise I would not have been able to live to this day. Those who dared to fight and risk their lives like you in the past have all died long ago." "Oh, it seems you are very lucky." "It is not luck. It is having a brain and not an idiot like you." Huang Si pointed to his own head and said proudly, "Compared to me, you really are not that smart. You must know that my grades are #1 in the entire school." Tang Zheng said in a deadpan manner, "Hung, I think you have become an idiot from studying. What benefits did Yi Tianlei give you to make you risk your life to go against me?" Tang Zheng wrinkled his eyebrows. "What does this have to do with him?" "Haha, young man, don't play dumb with me. If not for Yi Tianlei's instructions, would you dare to be so arrogant and do such a thing?" Huang Si said disdainfully, as if he felt that Tang Zheng's concealment was child's play. Tang Zheng suddenly realized that Huang Si thought that he was Yi Tianlei's representative, and that it was Yi Tianlei who wanted to deal with the Huang family. He could not help but laugh out loud. "Huang Si, you claim to be smart, but you are actually an old fool. Let me tell you, this has nothing to do with Yi Tianlei." Seeing the certainty in Tang Zheng's words, Huang Si couldn't help but be stunned as he asked in disbelief, "Is what you said true?" "Of course, why would I lie to you?" Huang Si pondered for a moment. Indeed, there was no need for Tang Zheng to lie to him. Both sides had already reached this stage. If Yi Tianlei was really the mastermind, then he should have stood up. Whether it was a peace talk or a battle, Yi Tianlei should have stood up bravely. Moreover, Yi Tianlei was Tang Zheng's protective talisman. Tang Zheng would not be so stupid as to cut ties with him. This meant that this matter was really done by Tang Zheng himself. Huang Si could not help but laugh out loud. Previously, he had been too careful and had almost been fooled by Tang Zheng. However, since it was not Yi Tianlei who ordered him to do this, then this matter was much easier to handle. To deal with a powerless Tang Zheng, Huang Si felt that it was as easy as blowing off dust. Inviting him to his house was making a mountain out of a molehill. Tang Zheng, since you were not ordered by Yi Tianlei, then what you are doing is seeking your own death. Don't tell me you don't know? Huang Si jokingly said. It had been many years since he had seen such a hothead. I don't think so. Seeking my own death requires someone to be able to kill me. Oh, then what is your cultivation level? Let me hear it. Let's see if you can keep your life. Huang Si relaxed his nerves and did not immediately make a move. 6th grade refining body. Tang Zheng indifferently said. Huang Si froze for a moment before laughing wildly. 6th grade refining body, and you dare to challenge me? I think you really don't know how the word death is written. Do you know what my cultivation level is? 9th grade natal stage. Tang Zheng's voice was as calm as an ancient well. Since you know, you still dare to go against me? Huang Si was puzzled. Tang Zheng shook his head and said, Huang Ziyang came to assassinate me, and your subordinate hoodlum also sent people to assassinate me. Before I went against you, you wanted to kill me. Then is there a need for me to continue hiding? Since you will come looking for me sooner or later, I might as well make the first move. Tang Zheng did not say one more thing. In order for his grandfather to live in the ordinary balance without any worries, he had to make sure that the ordinary balance's underworld was within his control. Huang Si, this thorn in his side, had to be removed. This underworld follows the law of the jungle. They tried to assassinate you, but you didn't die. That only means you are lucky. Since you took the initiative to provoke me, that means you are destined to die. Tang Zheng pursed his lips and said with a smile, I don't think so. Since you called me over today, then let's talk things out. Good. You do have some guts. If you hadn't done so many things to offend me, I would have taken you under my wing. You are stronger than Hoodlum. Tang Zheng shook his head. You will never have the chance to take me under your wing. You also don't have the qualifications. Hong, arrogant. Do you know that you made a mistake today? What mistake? Walking into this hall, from the moment you said that you were not ordered by Yi Tianlei, you were destined to die. Oh? Tang Zheng's expression was calm. Then you mean that I shouldn't take off this protective talisman? Of course, but it is already too late. Even if you want to put it back, it will be useless. As long as Yi Tianlei does not interfere, you will die without a doubt. Then I will unify the ordinary balance's underworld. Since they did not submit to me, then I will let them experience my power. As for the Ye family Hung, there will be a day when I will surpass Yi Tianlei. Huang Si was full of confidence and ambition. Yi Tianlei was an insurmountable mountain in his heart. Crossing this mountain was his greatest wish. Tang Zheng understood Yi Tianlei's true background. It was not something that Huang Si could compare to. So he shook his head and said, You won't have that chance. Since you have said so much nonsense, then it looks like you are prepared to kill me. Make your move. You think too highly of yourself for me to make a move against you. Ziyang, come out. Huang Si suddenly roared as a person slowly walked out from the darkness. When Tang Zheng saw this person, he almost did not recognize him. Huang Ziyang. This person was actually Huang Ziyang. His entire body's aura had changed. He no longer looked like a handsome young master. His entire body was shrouded in a strange aura that caused people to tremble in fear. Young man, I heard that you have many secrets on you. Even Ziyang's martial arts were obtained from you. Later on, if you tell me all your secrets, I will let you die a quick death. Although Huang Si was a 9th grade natal stage expert, he was still very interested in the secrets on Tang Zheng's body. Tang Zheng ignored him and stared straight at Huang Ziyang. Ever since the battle, this was the first time he had seen Huang Ziyang. He was really shocked by his appearance. Tian Chanzi, what kind of martial arts did you give him? How did he become like this? It's as if he has gone berserk. Tang Zheng asked curiously. Huang Ziyang's strange aura was very similar to that of a demon. Tian Chanzi chuckled. This set of martial arts is good stuff. You will know in a while. Tang Zheng did not continue to ask. Huang Ziyang looked at Tang Zheng with a complicated expression. There was hatred, contempt, and an undisguised killing intent. Tang Zheng, today is the day you die, Huang Ziyang said with a murderous look. Even his voice had changed. Tang Zheng frowned and said, when you came to the hospital to kill me, you were forced to retreat by an old man, right? Hong, that old fart. After I kill you, I will go find him. He dares to ruin my plans, so he must die. It seems like it was really the king of medicine who saved him. The next time he saw him, he would have to thank him. Tang Zheng shook his head and said, you won't have the chance to kill him? Hong, shameless boasting. Huang Ziyang said with disdain. Ziyang, don't waste words with him. Capture him first and force out his secret. With his secret, perhaps our Huang clan will be able to suppress the Ye family in the future. Huang Si ordered. Relax, he won't be able to stir up any waves. I will slowly torture him until he dies. Huang Ziyang said with a cold smile, causing others to tremble in fear. Little brat, later on don't use your true fire on him. It would be bad if he was burnt to a crisp. Leaving him alive will be of great use. Tian Chanzi warned. He is a first-grade natal realm cultivator and I am a sixth-grade body refining cultivator. If I want to win against him, I am afraid it will be very difficult. Tian Chanzi, what method do you have? Don't hide it and quickly tell me. Hi hey, little brat. Until the very end. How can I reveal my trump card? You should fight first. Remember, fighting is one of the best ways to increase your cultivation. Huang Ziyang is the best opponent for you to train with. Tang Zheng was helpless, but he did not feel any pressure. Since Tian Chanzi did not want to say anything, then he would fight in peace. He really did want to fight. The great battle was about to begin. Huang Ziyang approached Tang Zheng step by step. His movements were not very fast, but with every step he took, his aura condensed by a bit. When he finally arrived in front of Tang Zheng, his aura had already condensed to the peak. Huang Si stared at his son without blinking. He was also very curious about the martial arts his son practiced. This was the first time he saw Huang Ziyang in action. He was both excited and proud. The Huang family finally had a successor. Tang Zheng did not move. He watched as Tang Zheng approached, but his entire body's aura had already condensed. When the opponent came close, the two looked at each other with tacit understanding and then attacked at the same time. In the time it took to take a breath, the two disappeared from their original position. In the next second, a fierce collision sound exploded in the air. The two figures flew backwards. Tang Zheng bounced off a pillar in the hall and stopped his retreat. He then rushed forward again. Huang Ziyang also retreated a few steps. The limestone floor under his feet shattered, leaving behind two long scars. This was the first time Huang Si saw Tang Zheng in action. Just by seeing the first move, his face could not help but become serious. Tang Zheng was far more powerful than he had imagined. Kill. Huang Ziyang gave a loud roar as he fiercely stomped his foot on the ground. Pong. Stone fragments flew into the air as he casually pushed them in a circle. These stone fragments were like a rain of bullets that filled the sky, bringing with them the aura of death as they shot towards Tang Zheng, densely packed and covering the earth. Chapter 157. Facing this barrage of attacks, Tang Zheng could only helplessly pull out Battle Soul. With a flash of light, a large number of sword images appeared. Pung, pung, pung. The stone fragments were all blocked and fell to the ground. Tang Zheng was completely unscathed. Then, he swung his sword downwards with a terrifying aura. Huang Ziyang's eyes flashed with astonishment as he had never seen Tang Zheng's sword before. At the same time, he hurriedly dodged. Pacha! Battle Soul fell on the floor, creating a crack that extended from the center of the hall to Huang Si's feet. It was like a spirit snake. Pung! Huang Si stamped his foot on the ground, causing the cracks to abruptly stop. If he had not used his own strength to block this sword, who knows how far this force would have traveled. His eyes turned cold as he stared at Tang Zheng and said, "What a powerful sword technique!" Huang Ziyang's eyes flashed as he pounced forward. His 5 fingers formed a claw, and the air seemed to be torn apart as he quickly attacked Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng used his heaven-flying immortal sword technique and Battle Soul welcomed the attack. The nimble sword technique made Huang Ziyang not dare to approach. You think this is enough to stop me? Don't even think about it. Huang Ziyang roared as both of his hands pierced through the sword light. Isn't he afraid of being cut off? Tang Zheng was puzzled, but in the next second, he knew what his opponent was relying on. With a ding-dang sound, Battle Soul slashed at his arm, creating a burst of sparks. It turns out that his arms were covered with stainless steel. No wonder he was so fearless. Huang Ziyang's face flashed with hostility as he proudly said, "Now you know how powerful I am." Tang Zheng coldly snorted as he attacked with his sword. Immediately, the ding-dang sound rang out incessantly as the two dodged. All that could be seen was sparks bursting out and shadows flipping. In this large hall, only the two of them were left. Huangzi finally let out a sigh of relief and secretly said, Ziyang's martial arts is indeed powerful. In time, he will surpass me. In the future, I will be relieved to hand over my family business to him. After a fierce battle, both of them fought more and more valiantly. However, their consumption was considerable. After all, Huang Ziyang's cultivation was stronger, and he gradually gained the upper hand. However, Tang Zheng's otherworldly flying immortal swordsmanship was not an undeserved reputation. It made Huang Ziyang hesitate to attack, so he was temporarily unable to obtain victory. We can't go on like this. We have to find a way to break through. Tang Zheng pondered. Suddenly, he had a flash of inspiration. Yes, use the body lock technique. Tang Zheng was worried about exposing his identity as a cultivator, so he had never used this spell on anyone before. But now he couldn't care less. Moreover, one of the advantages of this spell was that the other party would mistake it as a pressure point technique and wouldn't connect it to his identity as a cultivator. Thus, when the two of them were once again close to each other, Tang Zheng silently chanted an incantation. Heaven and Earth's spiritual energy slightly vibrated and rapidly attacked Huang Ziyang's pressure point. Huang Ziyang's attack came to an abrupt halt in front of Tang Zheng. His eyes were filled with disbelief as he roared, "What's going on? Pressure point technique?" He clearly discovered that Tang Zheng was not even close to his body, yet his pressure point was still sealed. This was truly unheard of. Tang Zheng did not give him any time to be shocked. He casually grabbed him and placed Battle Soul's sharp blade on his neck. Huangzi originally had an expression of watching a good show, but upon seeing this scene, he jumped up from his chair and was inexplicably shocked. Air pressure point technique? Tang Zheng curled his lips. This was a body lock technique. What air pressure point technique? This guy doesn't know what's good for him. Huangzi was still in a state of shock as he asked again, "Who exactly are you? How can a 6th grade body refinement cultivator use air pressure point technique? Isn't air pressure point technique a high-level martial art that only great scholars can use?" Tang Zheng coldly laughed. "Why do you care so much? The most important thing is that your son is now in my hands." Huangzi turned a deaf ear to his words and shook his head. "Impossible. A 6th grade body refinement cultivator who knows how to use pressure points through the air is unheard of. Who taught you that? Who is your master? Could he be a martial scholar?" Huangzi's heart began to feel apprehensive. If Tang Zheng had a great scholar realm master, then this matter would be difficult to deal with. Although he had always been conceited, in front of a great scholar realm master, he was nothing. His opponent could crush him to death with a single finger. If he were to kill a great scholar realm master's disciple, then when the matter was investigated, not only would Huangzi die, but the entire Huang clan would also be annihilated. This was something he was most unwilling to see. But he and Tang Zheng were in a situation where only one of them would die. If he did not kill Tang Zheng, then when his master arrived, the Huang clan would also be annihilated. What to do? What to do? Huangzi's heart was in a mess. Even if Tang Zheng's backer was Yi Tianlei, he would not be so worried. Now that he knew that Tang Zheng had a great scholar behind him, his intestines were green with regret. Why didn't he investigate properly before making his move? Seeing him remain silent and his expression constantly changing, Tang Zheng suspiciously asked, "What are you thinking about? If you want to make your move, then hurry up. Don't dilly-dally." Huangzi fiercely raised his head, an ominous glint in his eyes. "Tang Zheng, You really want to fight to the death with me? Tang Zheng coldly laughed. Things have already reached this point. Do you think we can still shake hands and make peace? Moreover, Fire Phoenix's husband was killed by you. I also want to take revenge for him. Since that is the case, then don't blame me for being ruthless. Huang Si had already made his decision. With a low roar, he charged forward like a ghost. Before Tang Zheng could react, he had already arrived in front of him. With a grab of his hand, the space in front of Tang Zheng seemed to have been sucked away, causing him to feel suffocated. This was the might of a ninth-grade natal stage master. Tang Zheng had previously exchanged blows with Yi Tianlei, but Yi Tianlei had intentionally suppressed his strength. Tang Zheng did not have such a deep feeling. This time, Huang Si had used all of his strength to kill Tang Zheng in one strike. Tang Zheng was overwhelmed with shock. This kind of expert was not someone he could contend against. He hurriedly used the puppet-like Huang Xiang to block in front of his chest. Suddenly, he felt his hands become empty. Huang Xiang had actually been taken away by Huang Si. Damn it. So Huang Si's move was just a feint. His main goal was to save Huang Xiang. Tang Zheng did not counterattack. Instead, he hurriedly retreated. As expected, Huang Si lifted his son with one hand and swept out with his leg. It really had the power to sweep away 1,000 soldiers. Tang Zheng did not dare to use his body to block this attack like he did with Hoodlum. He hurriedly retreated and waved Battle Spirit in front of his chest. So, a black sword light shot out from Battle Spirit like a raging black flame. Huang Si was shocked. He stopped his attack and exclaimed, "What is this?" Tang Zheng sneered. Of course he would not tell him that this was his treasure. Just now, when he was fighting with Huang Xiang, he had purposely suppressed Battle Spirit's light. Now that it was released, although it was black, it was still very eye-catching. Treasure sword, this is a real treasure sword. Father, you must snatch it. Huang Xiang shouted in surprise. Huang Si had never seen such a treasure sword before. He was both surprised and happy. If he had this treasure, then even if he were to fight with Yi Tianlei, he would not be defeated. This treasure sword in your hands is like casting pearls before swine. Give it to me. Huang Si reached out with his hand, wanting to snatch Battle Spirit. But how could Tang Zheng let him do as he wished? With a flick of his wrist, a sword light shot out. This sword light was much more powerful than the previous one. It intertwined into a black sword light that emitted an aura of death. Battle Spirit even let out a resounding sword cry, like the cry of a dragon or tiger. Huang Si's face was filled with indescribable shock. This treasure sword far exceeded his imagination. He must obtain it. Immediately, he used all of his strength. In an instant, Tang Zheng's face was filled with afterimages. This was the essence of the spring kick. Hoodlum had only scratched the surface. Tang Zheng could not see his opponent's figure clearly. He could only wave Battle Spirit while retreating. I wonder if the body lock technique will have any effect on him? Tang Zheng thought. But since he could not see Huang Si's figure, he could not chant the incantation to attract the heaven and earth spiritual qi to attack his meridians. Tang Zheng bitterly held on. But the difference between the two of them was too great. Pong! A kick landed on his body, and he flew out like a kite with a broken string. So, a figure flashed as Huang Si finally appeared from the shadows of his legs and flew towards Tang Zheng, grabbing the Battle Spirit sword in his hands. Tang Zheng's entire body was in pain. It was as if his bones were about to fall apart. Huang Si's spring kick was indeed powerful. Seeing that Huang Si was already in front of him, he was about to grab Battle Spirit. Now's the time. Body lock technique. Tang Zheng endured the pain and silently chanted the incantation. The heaven and earth spiritual qi rushed towards Huang Si's meridians. Huang Si was in midair when his body suddenly froze and fell to the ground. His expression changed abruptly, and he roared loudly. Crackle, crackle, crackle. Crackle sounds rang out from within his body, and then he regained his freedom. All of the heaven and earth spiritual qi was actually forced out by him, causing the body lock technique to lose its effect. But Tang Zheng also took advantage of this short period of time to steadily land on the ground and retreat far away. War Soul Sword was held horizontally in front of his chest, as he cautiously looked at the opponent. Huang Xi's face was extremely gloomy, but he was extremely excited. It really is the air pressure point strike. Powerful, powerful. He gasped for breath, as if he could not suppress the excitement in his heart. No wonder you are so fearless. So you have such a high-level martial art. Tangzheng, I will catch you. I must catch you. As long as I learn this high-level martial art, who cares about Yi Tianlei? Even Feng Xinyang together will not be my match. All of them will die. Huang Xi's eyes gradually glowed like a pervert seeing a peerless beauty. He did not hide his desire. Tang Zheng sneered. Wishful thinking. The heavens are really helping me. Huang Biao. Little brat, your void pressure point strike is still too weak. If your cultivation was just a bit higher, your void pressure point strike would have been able to control me. Huang Xi said fearlessly. Tang Zheng was filled with hatred. If his cultivation was high enough, he would be able to draw in more heaven and earth spiritual qi. He would not even need to fight, and Huang Xi would be completely under his control. Why would he need to run for his life and kill here and there? Huang Xi once again launched an attack. This time he was even more careful. Inner qi filled his meridians to guard against Tang Zheng's air pressure point strike. Chapter 158. Huang Xi's attacks became even more ferocious and Tang Zheng was unable to dodge. He shouted in his heart, Tian Chanzi, if you don't show your trump card, I will be caught by him. Tian Chanzi laughed. What are you panicking for? The show has just begun. Go towards Huang Ziyang. Tang Zheng rushed towards Huang Ziyang. Huang Ziyang was unable to move and could only watch helplessly as Tang Zheng rushed towards him. Huang Xi's eyes were about to split open as he shouted, You dare to sneak attack my son. You are courting death. Huang Xi moved later, but was the first to arrive. He actually stood in front of Huang Ziyang to protect him. Hee, now is the time. Retreat. Tian Chanzi proudly commanded. Although Tang Zheng did not understand what was going on, he immediately retreated. Suddenly, he saw an inconceivable scene. Huang Xi's back was facing Huang Ziyang, and he did not notice the strange change in Huang Ziyang's eyes. Huang Ziyang's eyes lost their spirit and became sluggish. Huang Xi then moved and pushed his palms forward. Pong! A thunderous sound rang out as the two palms viciously landed on Huang Xi's back. Huang Xi staggered forward as he spat out a mouthful of blood. His face turned deathly pale. He turned his head in fear and was shocked to discover that the two palms were from his own son. His liver and gallbladder were torn apart, and he was inexplicably shocked. What is going on? Percent is not equal to. Huang Ziyang actually attacked Huang Xi. Not only was Huang Xi baffled, but Tang Zheng was also confused. He was dumbstruck as this scene of a father and son killing each other was too strange. He did not dare to believe that this was real. Haha, this is a good show. Tian Chanzi proudly laughed. Tang Zheng was puzzled. Could it be that Huang Ziyang had gone crazy? What is going on? Didn't I tell you that Huang Ziyang's martial arts have side effects? This is the side effect. Tian Chanzi boasted. Could it be that the side effect is going berserk? Of course not. Going berserk is child's play. I, Tian Chanzi, do not make a move, but when I make a move, it will be different. He's under the effects of the puppet technique. Puppet spell? Tang Zheng had never heard of this spell, so he was confused. The puppet technique is to control his mind and turn him into a puppet. From then on, you can do whatever you want. The martial arts I gave him are the puppet cultivation martial arts. As long as he reaches the Hotian realm, I can use the puppet technique to control him. Tang Zheng shivered. This Tian Chanzi was much more ruthless than him. Sure enough, no one in the cultivation world was easy to deal with. When Tang Zheng dealt with his enemies, the most he would do was to kill them. However, Tian Chanzi turned his enemies into his puppets. Not only would they not die, but they would also work for him. This was much more ruthless than killing them directly. Little brat, don't think that I am ruthless. The cultivation world is a world where the strong preys on the weak. If you are too kind, you will only be killed. In the cultivation world, there are massacres every day. Remember, only by surviving can you be the final victor. Moreover, being merciful to your enemies is being cruel to yourself. Have you forgotten that Huang Ziyang wanted to kill you? Tian Chanzi warned. Tang Zheng did not say a word, but he had to admit that Tian Chanzi's words were true. Huang Ziyang wanted to kill him first, so he could not be blamed. Seeing that Tang Zheng did not have any thoughts of being soft-hearted, Tian Chanzi was relieved. He praised, "That is the correct way of thinking." Huang Si was hit by 2 palms. He won't die, but his threat is greatly reduced. The pressure on you is temporarily relieved. Tang Zheng let out a sigh of relief. He looked at Huang Si, who had already climbed up from the ground. He stared at his son in disbelief. "Ziyang, why did you sneak attack me?" Huang Si did not bother to wipe the blood from his mouth as he asked. Huang Ziyang, however, remained indifferent as he walked towards Tang Zheng. "Little brat, don't be afraid. He is now my puppet and will not harm you. He is now your helper," Tian Chanzi said. Huang Ziyang quietly stood by Tang Zheng's side, both of his eyes looking straight ahead, as if he was really a puppet. Huang Si looked at his son and then looked at Tang Zheng. He seemed to have thought of something as he angrily roared, "Tang Zheng, what did you do to my son?" Tang Zheng spread out his hands. "It was not him who did anything, but Tian Chanzi who did it. What benefits did you promise him to make him attack me?" Huang Si was still unable to restrain his anger as he asked, "Ziyang, come back. No matter what benefits he gave you, I will return it to you in double," Huang Si said. Huang Ziyang was indifferent. "Tang Zheng, I can only blame myself for not killing you. Even if He Tianlei came to stop me, I should have killed you." Huang Si was filled with regret. "Huang Si, you are used to being high and mighty and do not put other people's lives in your eyes. There is also your son Huang Ziyang. I only fought a few matches, and he coveted my martial arts. He wanted to kill me and steal my martial arts. He did not even hesitate to kidnap my family. Hung, now it is your turn. Now you know the pain, but it is too late. There is no medicine for regret in this world." Tang Zheng thought back to the time when his grandfather was almost destroyed by Huang Ziyang. He still had a stomach full of anger. In the past, the Huang clan did not put him in their eyes and did not treat his life as their own. This was the reason for the current situation. They could not blame Tang Zheng. If they wanted to blame someone, they could only blame themselves. Huang Si was speechless. The killing intent in his eyes intensified as he roared, "No matter what kind of bewitching potion you fed him, as long as I kill you, there will be no more problems. When the time comes, I will kill your family too. Everyone related to you, they will all die." Tang Zheng's eyes also flashed with killing intent. "Since that is the case, then I will kill you first. Hand over your life." Huang Si roared and rushed forward. Before Tang Zheng could move, Huang Ziyang had already rushed forward. His movements were faster than before, and his attacks were more ferocious. After he becomes a puppet, his attack power will increase, Tian Chanzi explained. Tang Zheng nodded his head and did not move. He quietly watched the scene unfold before him. The two of them quickly began to fight. The entire hall looked like it was crushed by a heavy machine. It was a complete mess. The commotion here was too big. Dozens of people rushed over after hearing the news. When they saw the father and son fighting each other, they were all stunned and did not dare to step forward. "Kill that brat Tang Zheng for me," Huang Si angrily ordered. Immediately, everyone brandished their weapons and attacked Tang Zheng. Facing these ordinary thugs, although there were many of them, Tang Zheng was not afraid at all. Those who attacked him were all knocked to the ground. "Kill." Suddenly, an earth-shattering battle cry sounded from outside the old house. Then, a large group of people rushed in with Fire Phoenix and Lin Hu at the front. When the two of them heard the commotion outside, they gathered their subordinates and rushed in. They definitely could not let anything happen to Tang Zheng. Unknowingly, Tang Zheng had already become their backbone. But when they rushed in and saw the scene before them, their jaws dropped to the ground. The one fighting with Huang Si was not Tang Zheng but Huang Ziyang. Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix looked at each other, unable to comprehend the situation. "Let's deal with this group of people first," Lin Hu said. Fire Phoenix nodded her head and led her subordinates to charge over, knocking the people around Tang Zheng to the ground. Immediately, the hall quietened down as everyone stared at the strange battle unfolding before them. Lin Hu asked in a low voice. Young Master Tang, what is going on here? Tang Zheng shook his head and said, How did you guys come in? We heard the commotion. That old fox Huang Si is very cunning. We were worried about your safety, so we rushed in. Lin Hu explained. Fire Phoenix excitedly said, It seems like our worries were unnecessary. Young Master Tang really has a way. He actually made this pair of big and small foxes fight each other. This Huang Ziang is really powerful. His progress is too fast. He can actually contend with that old fox. Could it be that he is also a 9th grade natal stage? That can't be right. Lin Hu stared with wide eyes at the fierce battle between the two and could not help but sigh. Huang Ziang is a 1st grade natal stage, but Huang Si is already heavily injured, so the two of them are evenly matched. Tang Zheng explained. Fire Phoenix glared at Huang Si, the anger in her eyes surging upwards as she thought of her dead husband. Young Master Tang, I will go help. We must definitely kill that old fox. Fire Phoenix said while gnashing her teeth. Tang Zheng shook his head and said, Don't act rashly. Your cultivations are too low. If you go, you will only give Huang Si a chance to counterattack. Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix looked at each other and lowered their heads in shame. Seeing this, Tang Zheng knew that he had hit their weak spot. These two could be considered experts to normal people, but to true experts, they were too weak. When we return, I will give you two a set of martial arts. You two can figure it out yourselves. It should be able to increase your cultivation. Tang Zheng prepared to give the martial arts that he had given to Feng Yong to the two. The two raised their heads in surprise and looked at Tang Zheng eagerly and gratefully said, Thank you, young Master Tang. Huang Ziang became more and more courageous as he fought. Even after taking a few kicks, he did not shrink back as if he did not know pain. This was a true puppet. It did not feel pain, nor did it have any emotions. It only followed its master's orders unconditionally. Huang Si, on the other hand, became weaker and weaker as his injuries flared up. He had already taken a few hits from Huang Ziang, and he gradually discovered something strange. Huang Ziang's eyes were lifeless, as if he did not remember him. Moreover, every move was a killing move. Ziang, quickly wake up. What happened to you? Huang Si roared, but Huang Ziang turned a deaf ear to him. Huang Si suddenly turned his head and saw Tang Zheng and the others and roared, Lin Hu, Fire Phoenix, you two also came. Do you think that with Tang Zheng you can defeat me? Lin Hu coldly smiled and said, Huang Si, if we don't defeat you, will you not deal with us? In the ordinary balance, everything had to be done according to your wishes. I, your father, have had enough of this kind of life. Fire Phoenix angrily said, Huang Si, that year you killed my husband. Today I will kill you. Is that not the right thing to do? Fire Phoenix, that year I should have listened to Hoodlum's advice and killed you. I did not think that I would have nurtured a tiger. Huang Si said regretfully, Hong, today you will not be able to kill me. I will kill you. While Huang Si was distracted, Huang Ziang's attack arrived. One claw clawed at Huang Si's back, tearing out a piece of flesh. The other palm struck Huang Si's chest, causing him to fly out like a cloud. Chapter 159. Huang Si flew towards the entrance of the hall and turned his head to look at Huang Ziang. His eyes were filled with despair as he did not know why his son would want to kill him. Now that he was heavily injured and Tang Zheng was glaring at him from the side, he could not continue to stay here or else he would die. Huang Si did not want to die. He wanted to escape and then take revenge. Thus, he borrowed the momentum to fly out. Grabbing onto the eaves, he leapt up to the roof. The sound of footsteps could be heard from the roof. The old fox wants to escape. Fire Phoenix was shocked. If he managed to escape, then there would be a lot of trouble in the future. Being watched by a 9th grade natal stage expert hiding in the shadows, no one would be able to live a peaceful life. If he were to attack them one by one, no one would be able to block his attacks and all their previous efforts would be for naught. Chase. Tang Zheng let out a deep roar, and with a push from the pillars of the hall, he and Huang Ziang flew up to the roof at the same time, stepping on the tiles as they quickly chased after each other. Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix left behind a few of their younger brothers to watch over Huang Xi's men before they also rushed out of the old house and chased after them. From afar, they could see that under the moonlight, the three of them were like cheetahs as they rushed towards the forest not far away. As long as Huang Xi rushed into that small forest, then it would really be like finding a needle in a haystack. Tang Jing obviously saw through his intentions and shouted, "Quick, don't let him escape." He and Huang Ziyang simultaneously increased their speed. Huang Xi was like a stray dog as he madly ran, not daring to stop. Looking back at the approaching pursuers, he clenched his teeth and also increased his speed to the limit. So. At this time, Lin Hu and the rest could only see the three leaving behind afterimages as their speed was incomparable. Both sides were separated by 100 meters. Seeing that Huang Xi was about to enter the forest, Tang Jing knew that he could not wait any longer. Steeling his heart, he simply raised Battle Soul and used all his strength to throw it forward. So, a piercing sound rang out as the air was torn apart. Battle Soul shone with a black light as it shot towards Huang Xi like a gigantic, concealed weapon. The speed of the War Soul Sword was faster than everyone else. In the blink of an eye, it streaked across the night sky. The dark sword seemed to have blended into the night sky. If not for the sound of breaking through the air, it would have been hard to detect. Huang Xi heard a gust of wind behind him and turned around to look. Battle Soul was already 5 meters away from him. If he did not take any countermeasures, he would be pierced through. He had no way to continue forward, so he had no choice but to dodge to the side. The War Soul Sword brushed past his shoulder, and it was extremely dangerous. Kacha! The War Soul Sword cut through the trunk of a large tree in front of him and fiercely stabbed into a rock. Cracks quickly spread out on the rock, and in an instant, it burst open and shot in all directions. Taking advantage of this momentary delay, Tang Jing and Huang Ziyang had already caught up to Huang Xi. Huang Xi was shocked as his eyes inadvertently fell on the battle spirit, and his eyes lit up. Treasured sword. With this exceptional treasured sword, his battle strength would instantly increase. The threat of Tang Jing and Huang Ziyang would no longer be a concern. Huang Xi threw himself forward and rolled on the ground, grasping the War Soul Sword in his hands. The cold sword hilt caused his spirit to soar. He did not continue to run, but instead stood there proudly. Under the moonlight, his face was filled with malevolence as he glared at the two people charging at him. The treasured sword is in my hands. Tang Jing, you are dead. Just what kind of demonic technique did you use to confuse Ziyang? Quickly turn him back. Huang Xi held the sword in one hand and pointed it at Tang Jing, threatening him with a murderous aura. Tang Jing and Huang Ziyang both stopped and stared at Huang Xi. Tang Jing hesitated for a moment before saying, "Puppet technique, have you heard of it?" Puppet technique? Huang Xi's face was filled with doubt as he had never heard of it before. However, the name was easy to understand. Are you saying that my son has become your puppet? It is Tian Chanzi's puppet. Tang Jing said but did not deny it. What kind of technique is this? I have never heard of it before. Tang Jing shook his head and said, "In this world, there are many things that you have never heard of. Little brat, did your master teach you all of this?" Tang Jing declined to comment. "If I kill you now, I will kill your damned master in the future." Huang Xi leapt forward. The War Soul Sword in his hand did not emit a black light, but it was still filled with killing intent. At this moment, Huang Xi felt like he was an invincible god of war. His heart was filled with an indescribable self-confidence as his eyes widened and he gave a deafening roar. Kill. Tang Jing did not dodge and instead charged forward. Huang Ziyang also attacked, one from the left and one from the right, forming a pincer attack. Huang Xi acted as if he did not see it. With the treasured sword in hand, what did he have to fear? Shua. The biting cold sword pierced straight towards Tang Jing, but Tang Jing did not stop and instead reached out to grab the War Soul Sword. Huang Xi was overjoyed as this sword would definitely cut off Tang Jing's arm. Then he would have nothing to worry about. Lin Hu, Fire Phoenix, and the others saw this scene from afar and turned pale with fright. They loudly shouted, "Young Master Tang, be careful." Would Tang Jing really take the risk? Of course not. Was the War Soul Sword an ordinary treasured sword? Of course not. The War Soul Sword was a treasure and Tang Zheng was its master. Both parties were connected, and with a thought from Tang Zheng, the War Soul Sword's attack came to an abrupt halt as if it was blocked by an invisible force. Huang Si was shocked as he used all of his strength to stab forward, but the War Soul Sword did not move an inch. Tang Zheng's hand was already on the blade of the sword, but his hand was not cut off. Suddenly, the War Soul Sword blazed with a black light and began to tremble with a buzzing sound. A sword cry that sounded like a tiger's roar and a dragon's roar resounded in all directions. Huang Si was originally full of confidence and was determined to win, but upon seeing this scene, he was shocked. Especially the feeling that came from War Spirit. Although he was still holding on to War Spirit, it was completely out of his control. A huge force was transmitted from the sword hilt to his hand, causing his 5 fingers to involuntarily loosen as he watched the War Soul Sword land in Tang Zheng's hand. He felt as if the War Soul Sword had a soul and was not like an ordinary treasured sword. At this moment, he felt as if his liver and guts were about to burst. How could this be? Huang Si roared. Tang Zheng coldly smiled. This is not a treasure that you can control. Huang Si did not understand the true meaning of this sentence because Huang Ziyang's attack had already reached him from the other side. With a pincer attack from the left and right, he had no way to retreat. Even if I die, I will kill you. Huang Si suddenly pounced towards Tang Zheng as if he had gone mad. His legs flew over, and in a flash, Tang Zheng was enveloped in them. But there was someone faster than him. Huang Ziyang's fist struck out and ruthlessly slammed into Huang Si's back. This palm strike contained all of his strength and was enough to shatter stone. With a crisp sound, Huang Si staggered and fell at Tang Zheng's feet. The sky, full of leg shadows, disappeared without a trace. Fire Phoenix and Lin, who saw this unfathomable scene and were both shocked. Tang Zheng's ability to snatch a white blade with his bare hands was too shocking and convincing, and Huang Ziyang's ruthlessness and decisiveness caused them to tremble in fear. Seeing Huang Si lying on the ground motionless, the few of them quickly rushed over. Tang Zheng looked down at Huang Si. Huang Si spat out a mouthful of blood which dyed the ground in front of him red. The life in his eyes was slowly fading away. The 2 palms just now were killing moves and had already shattered his heart meridians. There was no way to reverse the situation. Huang Ziyang remained expressionless, as if everything that had happened had nothing to do with him. He made Lin Hu and the others who had caught up to hide far away from him. This was too strange and had exceeded their imaginations. Tang Zheng, I am not satisfied. I should have killed you earlier. I should have killed all of you earlier. Huang Si spat out a mouthful of blood as he continuously shouted. Fire Phoenix angrily said, That year when you killed my husband, you should have known that this day would come. You only have yourself to blame. Huang Si glanced at her and said, I do not regret it. At the very least, I have lived longer than that dead husband of yours. I was able to rule over Changheng City, and he did not. I am simply stronger than him. Haha. You will never be stronger than him. I will always remember him, but in this world, no one will remember you. Fire Phoenix flew into a rage and ruthlessly kicked Huang Si. Huang Si rolled over, and his cries came to an abrupt end. All that was left was a series of rapid breathing sounds. Fire Phoenix was very emotional. Her eyes filled with tears as she said, Young Master Tang, let me personally kill him. Let me do it. Lin Hu also indignantly requested. Tang Zheng shook his head and ordered Huang Ziyang. You go. Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix were startled as they stared at Huang Ziyang, as if they wanted to see what kind of reaction he would have. They were also very curious about the relationship between Tang Zheng and Huang Ziyang. They only saw Huang Ziyang expressionlessly walk towards Huang Si, without a trace of resistance. Huang Ziyang squatted down and grabbed Huang Si's head with both hands. Huang Si's eyes widened as he angrily roared, No, I don't want to die, Kacha. His cries came to an abrupt end as his neck was broken by Huang Ziyang. This ordinary balance underworld boss had ended his life, just like how he ended the lives of others. Sooner or later, he would have to pay for what he did. Woo woo woo. Suddenly, Fire Phoenix squatted on the ground and wailed. Huang Si is finally dead. I have avenged you. Do you see? Your spirit in heaven can now rest in peace. Lin Hu let out a long sigh and patted her shoulder. Fire Phoenix sobbed, completely lacking the ruthlessness a boss should have. However, at this time, no one would force her as this was the truest expression of her emotions. Fire Phoenix's cries gradually stopped as she turned towards Tang Jing and firmly said, "Young Master Tang, you have avenged my husband. From today onwards, I, Fire Phoenix, will be at your disposal." Tang Jing hurriedly supported her and said, "Everyone will work hard together in the future. We will definitely have a more glorious future." Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix nodded their heads at the same time. "We pledge our lives to follow young Master Tang. Even if we have to go through mountains of blades or seas of flames, we will not hesitate." In this battle, Tang Zheng made Fire Phoenix truly submit to him. This was not only a relationship of benefits, but also a type of subservience that strengthened the relationship between both sides. From this moment onwards, Tang Zheng became the true leader of Changheng's underworld and sat on the top seat. Chapter 160. After leaving someone to deal with Huang Si's corpse, Tang Zheng, Lin Hu and the others returned to the city by car. The atmosphere in the car was a bit strange. Tang Zheng sat in the middle with Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix beside him. Huang Ziang sat alone in the last row, not making a sound. Even his breathing was very light. Lin Hu and Fire Phoenix would occasionally turn their heads to look at Huang Ziang, only to see that his eyes were tightly shut as if he was asleep. However, the two knew that he was definitely not asleep and could explode at any time to injure them. The key point was that his relationship with Tang Zheng was very similar to that of a servant and a master. They did not look like collaborators at all, much less the high and mighty young Master Huang from before. How did Tang Zheng manage to do this? The two were puzzled. Fire Phoenix gave Lin Hu a look, and Lin Hu hesitated for a moment before asking, "Young Master Tang, how should we deal with him?" Tang Zheng did not turn his head and lightly said, "You guys find a place to put him in order and provide him with food and drink. Don't worry about anything else. He won't run around randomly." But he is Huang Ziang, the famous young Master Huang. Who knows how many people have fallen at his hands? He is also a first-grade natal stage cultivator. What if he hurt someone? Lin Hu carefully asked in an almost inaudible voice, as if he was afraid that Huang Ziang 6 would hear him. Of course, Tang Zheng could not explain that Huang Ziang was a puppet, so he patted Lin Hu's shoulder and comforted him. "Don't worry, he won't cause trouble. He will only train and won't do anything else." This was what Tian Chanzi told him. Since Huang Ziang had already become a puppet, then there was only one thing he could do, which was to train and raise his cultivation, and then carry out his master's orders. Seeing Tang Zheng's solemn vow, the two did not dare to doubt him. However, they felt that Tang Zheng was even more unfathomable and admired him even more. The next day, when Tang Zheng went to school after a good night's sleep, he met Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang at the entrance. The two's faces were very serious as they purposely sent Yi Dingdang away and then stared at Tang Zheng. "What's the matter?" Tang Zheng suspiciously asked. Looking at the two's expressions, there must be something big. Yi Tianlei said in a deep voice, "Huang Si is dead. Huang Ziang is missing." Tang Zheng stared blankly for a moment. So it was this matter, and he thought it was something big. Feng Xinyang said, "Little handsome brother, Huang Si's death is too strange. It is said that he was killed by someone from the underworld. However, Huang Si's cultivation is at the 9th grade natal stage. In the ordinary balance, there is no one who is his opponent. As for Huang Ziang, it is said that he has already broken through to the 1st grade natal stage. You and Huang Ziang have a conflict, and we are worried that he will do something to you. So we came to remind you not to run around. If you don't mind, you can come to our house to stay for a few days." Feng Xinyang's concern was expressed in her words. It was really like the concern of a husband and a mother for their future son-in-law. "In a while, I will be going to Beijing. Dingdang will also be going to Beijing to study in the future. Therefore, it is best that you get into a school in Beijing for the college entrance exams. In the future, when you go to Beijing, we can take care of each other. Even if Huang Ziang wants to do something, he will still have some restraints. Yi Tianlei said. Tang Zheng felt a warmth in his heart. This family really cared for him. He thought for a while and decided not to hide anything. He directly said, "When Huang Si died, I was at the scene." What? The husband and wife were both shocked. What happened? Huang Si wanted to kill me, so I killed him. No, he was killed by Huang Ziyang. Right now Huang Ziyang is one of my people, but it is not convenient for him to show himself. Tang Zheng said after some consideration. He still could not reveal the matter of his puppet technique to the public. It was too shocking. But this also caused the husband and wife to be stunned. If you asked who the Ye family's biggest opponent in the ordinary balance was, it would undoubtedly be Huang Si. The two sides had been fighting openly and secretly for many years. Now Yi Tianlei, for some unknown reason, was preparing to let Yi Tianlei return to Beijing. Although Feng Xinyang was not willing, she could only accept it. Therefore, Yi Tianlei did not pay much attention to Huang Si. Who would have thought that Huang Si would die like this, and even be killed by Tang Zheng? The two looked at each other. Their brains were not enough to process this. They stared straight at Tang Zheng, confirming that he was not joking. Little handsome brother, Huang Si is a 9th grade natal stage cultivator. I heard that you were a 6th grade refining body. How did you kill him? Feng Xinyang asked in bewilderment. It was Huang Ziyang who caught him off guard. He injured him and then killed him. How did Huang Ziyang kill Huang Si? This question was even more puzzling. Tang Zheng shook his head and smiled mysteriously. He did not say anything. The husband and wife knew that this definitely involved Tang Zheng's secret, so it was not convenient for them to ask. However, the two people's hearts were already in a perilous situation. Their gazes towards Tang Zheng changed again and again. Yi Tianlei patted Tang Zheng's shoulder and said earnestly, "Then you are saying that the people in the ordinary balance underworld are all yours. You are that mysterious young master Tang?" "That is just something they call me for fun." Tang Zheng laughed involuntarily. He did not expect that they would also hear of this name. The new generation is replacing the old. It seems that I really am getting old. Yi Tianlei sighed. This kind of thing was really unimaginable, but Tang Zheng did it. Of course, there was definitely a secret that could not be revealed. However, this showed that Tang Zheng's mysteriousness far exceeded his expectations. Feng Xinyang's eyes gradually lit up. She stared at Tang Zheng with a burning gaze and asked, "Little handsome brother, how have things been between you and that girl surnamed Feng?" Tang Zheng stared blankly and said, "Pretty good. What's the matter?" Feng Xinyang pointed at Yi Dingdang, who was standing not too far away, and said, "Don't you think that our family's Dingdang is very ladylike right now?" Tang Zheng stared blankly for a moment. He had already guessed the other's thoughts. She was going to play matchmaker again. As expected, Feng Xinyang said, "Little handsome brother, I think very highly of you. You have to chase after our family's Dingdang. Our family's Dingdang is good at martial arts. In the future, she will definitely be a good wife." Yi Tianlei's brain did not work as fast as his wife. He helplessly looked at Feng Xinyang and shook his head without saying anything. Tang Zheng was really flattered by her enthusiasm. He could not resist and hurriedly said, "I have to go to class. Uncle Yi, Auntie Feng, goodbye." Then he ran away. Feng Xinyang did not forget to call out, "Don't forget my words. You really can consider it." Yi Dingdang saw Tang Zheng run away in a sorry state. She curiously asked, "What did they say to you? They didn't even let me hear it." Tang Zheng shrugged and said, "You can ask them. If I ask them, they won't tell me." "What did they secretly say to you? It's like I'm not their daughter and you're their son." Tang Zheng embarrassedly smiled. "Hung, if you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Let me tell you, this week I will definitely break through to the 6th grade refining body. Just wait for the announcement to be made to the whole world." Yi Dingdang said in high spirits. Tang Zheng was in disbelief. So fast? Could it be that the Jade Women's Heart Sutra is really that good? Yi Dingdang rolled her eyes at this ignorant fellow and said, "Of course, the Jade Women's Heart Sutra is too compatible with me. My body's chi has become much stronger." Tang Zheng stared at her without blinking. Of course he could not see enough, but he could feel that her inner strength was vigorous. What made him feel even more surprised was that her pure yin chi seemed to have become even denser. "What's going on?" Tian Chanzi, quickly come out. The Jade Women's Heart Sutra you gave her wouldn't be the same as the one you gave Huang Ziyang and turn her into a puppet, right? Tian Chanzi's methods left a deep impression on Tang Zhang. Brat, don't bite Lu Dongbin like a dog. You don't know how to appreciate good intentions. The Jade Woman Heart Sutra that I gave to this girl is a very high-level martial art. How could it be such a mess? Tang Zhang let out a sigh of relief. But why did the pure yin qi in her body increase? Hey, this is the beauty of the Jade Women's Heart Sutra. Because this martial art is specially designed for women, it can naturally accumulate a woman's pure yin qi. Isn't this just to benefit you, little brat? In the future, when you are together with her, you will be able to obtain even more pure yin qi. I really put a lot of thought into this. Tian Chanzi boasted. Tang Zhang was stunned for a moment. Tian Chanzi, can you not randomly matchmake me? I already have Feng Shishir. Humph, you still blame me? I won't lower myself to your level. You will know in the future. Tian Chanzi simply shut up, leaving Tang Zhang helpless. Seeing Tang Zhang staring at her as if he was in a daze, Yi Dingdang couldn't help but shout, Tang Zhang, what are you looking at? Nothing. Tang Zhang returned to his senses. You are clearly looking at me, and you still say nothing. What do you mean by that? Yi Dingdang was like an angry little lion as she asked righteously. Tang Zhang bitterly smiled. Seeing Feng Shishir come, he quickly ran over. Yi Dingdang was so angry that she fiercely stomped her feet. What are you guys talking about? Why is Yi Dingdang so angry? Feng Shishir curiously asked. If it was said that she was a bit worried about Yi Dingdang before, but in this period of time, Tang Zhang and her were stuck together like glue. Yi Dingdang had nothing to do with her, so she was very relieved. Nothing much. Last time you said that after using the spirit pill, my cultivation would increase faster. Why don't you come to my house tonight? I want to quickly increase my cultivation. Feng Shishir impatiently said. Okay, no problem. Tang Zhang had taken care of Huang Si, and his mood was much more relaxed. As for Daoist Tianji, he bowed and knew where he was, so he didn't need to worry too much. Then come to my house tonight. Your parents won't have any objections, right? Feng Shishir couldn't help but think of the embarrassing scene from last time. She fiercely pinched him and said, I asked you to guide me in my cultivation, not to do that. In bed, martial arts is also martial arts. Io, don't pinch me. My flesh is about to fall off. Tang Zhang shouted. Hung, liar. This little bit of pain is nothing to you. Feng Shishir glared at him but still let go. Tonight, you can secretly come to my house. Just don't let my parents see you. A few days ago, they were watching us very closely. Sometimes my mom would even eavesdrop at the door. But these 2 days she hasn't eavesdropped. So you just have to secretly come here tonight and leave before the sun rises. Tang Zhang gave a naughty laugh. After cultivating, can't I do something else to relax? Why is your brain filled with these things? Feng Shishir fiercely poked Tang Zhang's forehead and pouted. Tang Zhang gave a silly laugh. These days were truly blessed. Chapter 161. The night was like water. A figure jumped into the courtyard of a villa and quickly jumped in through a half-open window. The guy who climbed in through the window in the middle of the night was obviously Tang Zhang. With such nimble skills, he was suitable to be a flower thief. Why did you come so late? Feng Shishir asked in a low voice. She had been lying on the bed, quietly waiting for her lover. I'm just worried that your parents aren't asleep yet, Tang Zhang explained. Feng Shishir playfully smiled. You really have the potential to be a thief? Hee, I don't steal things. I specialize in stealing people. I'll steal a beauty like you, Tang Zhang said with a mischievous smile. Feng Shishir raised her fist and punched him. Tang Zhang hugged her and the two's lips kissed. The light of the table lamp was not very bright, but it added a hint of ambiguity to the atmosphere. Don't be naughty. I still have to practice, Feng Shishir said as she escaped from Tang Zhang's evil clutches. Tang Zhang shrugged, took out a small porcelain bottle, and gently poured a spirit pill into her palm. She opened her eyes wide and praised. Wow, it's really beautiful. In a while, directly swallow it. Then use your martial arts to absorb the spiritual energy of heaven and earth and convert it into your own zhenqi. Tang Zheng said. So simple? Of course, this is similar to practicing martial arts, but you can gather more spiritual energy of heaven and earth for your use. Fang Shishir nodded, indicating that she understood. She then sat down cross-legged, took the spirit pill, closed her eyes, and began to practice martial arts. Tang Zheng stood guard at the side. It was obvious that the spiritual energy of heaven and earth was gathering in this room, but it was not as terrifying as Tang Zheng's last time. Since I have nothing to do, why don't I take the spirit pill too? Tang Zheng pondered, as the spirit-gathering pill could only be taken once every 10 days. The last time he took a spirit-gathering pill, he had been so busy that his feet didn't touch the ground, so he didn't have time to take it. He also sat down cross-legged and swallowed a spirit-gathering pill. The spirit chi of heaven and earth immediately poured into the villa from all directions. Last time, he had absorbed the heaven and earth spirit chi within a radius of 1 kilometer. This time, when the two of them worked together, the heaven and earth spirit chi within a radius of 2 kilometers rapidly converged towards the villa and madly rushed into their bodies. The budding flowers in the courtyard absorbed the spiritual energy and immediately bloomed, emitting a delicate fragrance. The trees grew new buds, and the grass that was about to wither actually regained its vitality and became emerald green. Fang Chonghua and Xi Mingqin slept especially well tonight, as if they were babies. They did not even dream as their body's metabolism intensified, rapidly expelling the toxins. Several patrolling security guards passed by the villa, looked around suspiciously, and whispered, "Do you guys feel refreshed?" "Yeah, I was dozing off just now, but now I'm especially energetic," another person said. They looked at each other, not knowing what had happened. Normal people would not be able to sense the changes in the heaven and earth spirit chi, but their bodies would instinctively react. However, some people were able to sense it. Daoist Tianji had been frantically searching for Tang Zheng during this period of time. However, in this large city, he did not have any resources and could only rely on his own 2 legs to run around. However, in these past few days, he did not have any results, causing him to be extremely frustrated. He bitterly looked at the sky and angrily roared, "Little brat, I will definitely find you." Suddenly, his gaze trembled. What's going on? Why is the heaven and earth spirit chi changing so strangely? It seems to be converging towards a certain place. There must be a problem. His eyes lit up as he immediately chased in the direction where the heaven and earth spirit chi was converging. A moment later, he arrived at the villa district. Why are we here again? He had been waiting here for a few days, but was unable to find any trace of Tang Zheng. In the end, he had no choice but to give up. However, coming to this place again, he immediately frowned. Could it be that the little brat is still living here? Could it be that such a large movement was also caused by him? But how could there be such a large movement? He looked from afar and discovered that the heaven and earth spirit chi had finally converged into a villa. His heart moved as he excitedly muttered to himself, "Could it be? This is the legendary spirit-gathering pill? I heard that the spirit-gathering pill is able to gather the heaven and earth spirit chi for one's own use, and then produce such an effect." Daoist Tianji was truly excited. He had cultivated for dozens of years, but had never been able to refine pills. This was because, firstly, he did not have a pill furnace, and secondly, he did not have a pill recipe. Only someone like Tang Zheng, who had an old man from 1,000 years ago living in his head, would have such a miraculous pill recipe. That was why refining pills was so simple. For Daoist Tianji, even though he knew that refining pills could help him cultivate, he had no other choice. His breathing became hurried as he stared unblinkingly at the villa. He swallowed his saliva. It must be the spirit-gathering pill. Whether it is that little brat or not, I must snatch the spirit-gathering pill. As long as I have the spirit-gathering pill, my cultivation will definitely increase by leaps and bounds. Thinking of this, he could no longer hold back his excitement and rushed towards the villa. "Who is it? Stop!" Suddenly, the security guards discovered his tracks and quickly chased after him. Last time, After Daoist Tianji's ruckus, the villa district had already strengthened its security. Daoist Tianji did not expect that his tracks would be discovered, but he did not care. No one could stop his determination to obtain the spirit-gathering pill. Thus, he immediately pulled out his sword. Shwa shwa shwa. The security guards in front of him did not even have the time to scream before they were beheaded. Seeing this, the security guards behind him angrily shouted, "The criminal has a weapon. It's that beggar from last time. Quickly call the police." Someone recognized Daoist Tianji. Daoist Tianji completely ignored the people behind him and directly rushed into the villa's courtyard. Following the gathering point of the world's spiritual energy, he quickly arrived outside of Feng Shishi's room. Through the window, he could clearly see Tang Jing and Feng Shishi sitting cross-legged. Daoist Tianji's eyes lit up. "Little brat, it really is you. There is also a little girl who is also a cultivator. Spirit-gathering pill. They really are using the spirit-gathering pill to cultivate. No wonder they have such a cultivation at such a young age. Hi hey, little brat, I have finally found you. This time you won't be able to escape, so I will dig out all of your secrets." Daoist Tianji's eyes flashed with an ominous light as he leapt into the air, wanting to jump in through the window. Just at this time, Tang Zheng suddenly opened his eyes. With a wave of his hand, the world's spiritual energy formed a powerful gale that slammed into the window. Pong! Daoist Tianji raised his sword to block, flipped through the air, and landed in the courtyard. "Little brat, I have finally found you. You have nowhere to run, so obediently hand over the spirit-gathering pill to me, and I will let you die a quick death," Daoist Tianji proudly said. Tang Zheng's face was gloomy to the extreme. Just now he was at the crucial moment of breaking through to the 7th grade refining qi, but was interrupted. Now his qi had stopped at 6 inches and 9 fin. This damn Daoist Tianji, why is he still haunting me like a ghost? He glanced at Feng Shishi, who was still cultivating. Her cultivation was still lacking and could not be like him. If she was interrupted, her body would be damaged, and he would not allow this to happen. Tang Zheng also pulled out his battle spirit and jumped out of the window, glaring at Daoist Tianji. "Hey, little brat, there is no use looking at me like that. Looks cannot kill me," Daoist Tianji proudly said. "Hurry up and give me the spirit-gathering pill, and then kill yourself. Otherwise, not only will I kill you, I will also torture you to death." Daoist Tianji, last time when you were like a stray dog being chased by the police, how did it feel? Tang Zheng jokingly asked. Daoist Tianji's old face turned red. This was his humiliation. Immediately, he flew into a rage. "Since you are so stubborn, then I will do it myself." Just as his voice fell, Daoist Tianji used spatial contraction and instantly appeared in front of Tang Zheng, his sword thrusting out. Dang! The two swords collided, and Tang Zheng could not help but retreat a few steps. Daoist Tianji proudly sneered, "Little brat, you are not my opponent. Just give up." With a loud roar, he once again rushed forward. Shwa! A sword light flashed by. Tang Zheng hurriedly dodged, but the steps behind him suffered a calamity. The marble steps shattered and shot towards the villa like a rain of bullets. Pung pung pung. The villa became riddled with holes. Tang Zheng could no longer care about this huge commotion as he quickly rushed out of the courtyard. Coincidentally, he met the security guards who were surrounding him. He loudly roared, "Quickly hide!" Before the security guards could react, Daoist Tianji's sword had already arrived. The security guards were all stabbed in the chest and fell to the ground. Tang Zheng was enraged, but he had no other choice. He must quickly bring Daoist Tianji away from this place. This way, Feng Shishi and her family would be the safest. Moreover, if he did not leave, it would be easy for his identity to be exposed. Daoist Tianji, could it be that you do not have a bit of compassion? You actually willfully killed the innocent. Tang Zheng ran forward as he questioned. Daoist Tianji laughed loudly behind him. "Who knows how many innocent people have died under my sword, but what does that have to do with me? Those who dare block my path only have death waiting for them." The huge commotion had already attracted the attention of many people. The surrounding villas all lit up their lights and many people walked out. When they saw the security guards lying on the ground with blood flowing out, they all began to scream. At this time, The silence of this high-class villa district was completely broken. In the distance, the sound of sirens also rang out, getting closer and closer. Tang Zheng and Daoist Tianji had already rushed out of the villa district and quickly followed the streets. However, Daoist Tianji's shrinking speed was simply too fast. Not long after, Tang Zheng was caught up. This was a commercial street with various shops on both sides. Tang Zheng was in front while Daoist Tianji was behind. A sword slashed out and Tang Zheng barely dodged. This sword directly cut down a street lamp on the side of the road. With a loud bang, the street lamp fell to the side of the shop, directly smashing the glass display window into pieces. Tomorrow, when the boss sees this unexpected disaster, he will definitely want to cry, but no tears will come out. But this was only the beginning. Tang Zheng counterattacked. Battle Soul brought out a resounding sword cry, and this time, the sword directly ignited with true fire. Since true fire had a restraining effect on Daoist Tianji, then it was naturally Tang Zheng's first choice. He only saw a ray of fire leave the sword and shoot towards Daoist Tianji from several meters away. Pong! Daoist Tianji held his sword horizontally in front of his chest to block the true fire. However, the true fire exploded and shot out in all directions. Quite a few of it actually touched his body and quickly burned. Specks of fire also shot into the shops on the side of the street. Chapter 162. Daoist Tianji hurriedly circulated his qi to extinguish the true fire. Last time he suffered a great loss, so this time he did not dare to let it continue to burn. With his experience from last time, he quickly extinguished the fire. Seeing this, Tang Zheng did not immediately attack, but instead ran in the opposite direction. Little brat, you won't be able to escape. Daoist Tianji madly chased, leaving behind a chaotic commercial street and a series of alarms. The two of them chased and ran as fast as lightning, stopping from time to time to have a small battle. This caused quite a large commotion, causing many other places to be caught in the crossfire. This commotion was too big, causing almost half of the ordinary balanced city to be alarmed as all sorts of alarms rang out incessantly. Tang Zheng helplessly shook his head as he ran. This time the commotion was too big, so he was afraid that it would attract the attention of others. Since Daoist Tianji said that he had only seen 2 cultivators in so many years, Tang Zheng felt a special sense of vigilance. In this world, there were so few cultivators that they would be seen as abnormal. In the long river of human history, abnormal people would always be pushed aside and in the end, they would not have a good ending. Tang Zheng did not want to end up like that, so he had to be careful. It could be said that his identity as a cultivator brought him both benefits and dangers. Therefore, he subconsciously disguised himself as a martial artist, but Daoist Tianji was clearly crazy. For the sake of the spirit pill, he did not hesitate to make such a big commotion, not hesitating to expose their identities. Of course, Tang Zheng was not running aimlessly. He was rapidly moving towards a destination, and in the distance, he could already see this destination. This was an abandoned warehouse, and there were very few people around. This warehouse hid a person who could help Tang Zheng. Who is it? There were 2 people guarding the warehouse, and they loudly shouted, "It's me, quickly run." One of the 2 people was Dao Zai, and he brought a little brother to guard this warehouse. Dao Zai clearly saw Tang Zheng and was shocked. "Young Master Tang, what happened? Quickly go. Don't ask. Don't worry." Tang Zheng could already see Daoist Tianji not far away. Time was of the essence, and he did not want these 2 people to end up like those security guards. Dao Zai wanted to ask again, but Tang Zheng's face had already darkened as he roared, "Are you not going to listen to me anymore?" Dao Zai jumped in fright and hurriedly said, "I don't dare." He called his younger brother and quickly fled. Creak. Tang Zheng pulled open the door to the warehouse and rushed in. Daoist Tianji also rushed in at the same time, not caring if there was any danger inside. In his eyes, Tang Zheng could not threaten him at all. Whoosh! But just as he rushed in, a gust of wind blew towards him. Daoist Tianji did not even think before slashing out with his sword. Bang! A surge of power surged from the sword. He was shocked. The power of this attack was too great. It did not seem like Tang Zheng's attack. Who is it? Daoist Tianji took half a step back and glared at the warehouse like a tiger watching its prey. There was a small lamp in the warehouse, and although the light was dim, it was still able to clearly see the surroundings. He saw that there was another person beside Tang Zheng. It was a young man who stared expressionlessly at Daoist Tianji. Daoist Tianji's eyes narrowed as he stared at this person. "And who are you?" Tang Zheng's lips curled into a smile. The reason he had rushed here was to find Huang Ziyang. Huang Ziyang's cultivation was at the first grade of the prenatal stage, similar to Daoist Tianji's first grade of foundation establishment. However, because Daoist Tianji was a cultivator, his true strength was above Huang Ziyang's. However, with Tang Zheng in the mix, Daoist Tianji would not have an advantage. Tang Zheng jokingly asked, "Daoist Tianji, what, are you afraid?" Daoist Tianji's expression changed rapidly as he disdainfully said, "You think I'm afraid of you? Just a martial artist. What is there to be afraid of?" "Is that so? If I told you that he was at the first grade of the prenatal stage, would you still be afraid? I know that you are at the first grade of foundation establishment, so don't pretend to be so profound." In reality, if Tang Zheng were to call Yi Tianlei over as a helper, Daoist Tianji would definitely not be a match for him. However, this would expose Tang Zheng's identity, so he could only rely on Huang Ziyang as a puppet. Only he would not reveal any secrets. Daoist Tianji heard Tang Zheng's words reveal his cultivation, and his expression slightly changed as he sternly said, "Little brat, you are the strangest of the two cultivators I have met. I do not know how you started cultivating, but I know that you must have had a great opportunity. Today, I will definitely take this opportunity away from you. Since you think so highly of me, then can you tell me about the other cultivator you met? You said that you had already killed him. What information did you obtain from him?" Tang Zheng purposely asked, as this was what he was most concerned about. He had a magical treasure, but he hid it too well, so I was unable to find it. He really deserved to die, but I believe that even if he died, he would not be able to rest in peace, because I made a move against his family. Haha. Daoist Tianji proudly said, "What magical treasure? This I do not know, but I heard that it was very powerful. His cultivation was too low, and was far from being as powerful as you, so he was killed by my sword." "Haha, truly satisfying," Daoist Tianji said with a fiendish smile. "Then it seems that in the end you worked for nothing, and did not even obtain the magical treasure. However, in the end you still made a move against his family. Isn't that too despicable?" "Despicable? Hong, the fact that I did not directly kill him is already benevolent. I only told my disciple to place a curse on his wife." "Curse?" Tang Zheng's heart moved. The curse on Nana's body was because of this? Tang Zheng was shocked. Last time he used the soul-searching technique to find out from Daoist Tianji's disciple that it was Daoist Tianji who ordered him to do the curse, but he did not know the reason. Now Tang Zheng could faintly guess the reason. Daoist Tianji's eyebrows twisted as he asked, "Who is Nana? You don't even know her name, yet you made her suffer so much since birth. She is still a child, so how can you bear to do this?" Tang Zheng gnashed his teeth as Nana's cute appearance uncontrollably appeared in his mind. Daoist Tianji suddenly realized, so Nana is the descendant of that cultivator. "Hey, I never thought that she would be related to you. It seems that in the unseen world, the heavens guided me to find you. This is the will of the heavens. The heavens want me to become a true expert, the most powerful cultivator. Haha." Tang Zheng did not pay attention to his arrogance as he was shocked by another piece of news. Nana's father, Mu Hongyan's late husband, was actually also a cultivator and even had a very powerful magical treasure. "Daoist Tianji, you have misunderstood the will of the heavens. The heavens allowed us to meet not to make you stronger, but to end your life, to let you die by my hands," Tang Zheng said resolutely as he seethed with killing intent. Daoist Tianji disdainfully gave a cold laugh. "Shameless boasting. Then let us see if the will of the heavens is for you to die or for me to live." Shua. The long sword trembled as it pierced towards Tang Zheng. Huang Ziyang took the initiative to attack as he completely disregarded the power of the sword. Pooh! A bloody wound appeared on Huang Ziyang's shoulder, but his eyebrows did not even twitch. He reached out with one hand and directly grabbed onto Daoist Tianji's chest. Daoist Tianji was shocked as this person did not seem to be afraid of death. Seeing that his chest was grabbed, he quickly retreated as he slashed his sword across his chest, knocking away Huang Ziyang's hand. "Are you not afraid of death?" Daoist Tianji roared. Huang Ziyang did not reply as he tapped the ground with his feet and quickly attacked again. An unending stream of palm energy surged out, forcing Daoist Tianji's clothes to flutter. Daoist Tianji finally discovered something strange as he angrily roared. "What the hell is he?" Tang Zheng coldly smiled. "Something to kill you? You want to kill me? No way. I don't believe that you are not afraid of death." Daoist Tianji held his sword with both hands and used all his strength to slash out. Shua! The sword light tore open a large wound on Huang Ziyang's chest, causing blood to flow out, but Huang Ziyang did not retreat in the slightest. His palm had already landed on Daoist Tianji's chest. Pung! Daoist Tianji flew out and staggered as he fell to the ground. He then stared dumbstruck at Huang Ziyang. Blood was still flowing, and the flesh that had been cut open was clearly visible, but he acted as if nothing had happened and did not even look at it. "He is not human." Daoist Tianji pointed at Huang Ziyang as he angrily roared. Tang Zheng declined to comment as Huang Ziyang really could not be considered a human. He was a living puppet and a living weapon. Daoist Tianji had never heard of the puppet technique before, but he could somewhat guess as he excitedly said, "You have more secrets than I imagined. I must obtain your secrets. Kill." Daoist Tianji flew forward, and this time his sword actually left his hand and pierced towards Huang Ziyang. Huang Ziyang's palm struck out, and just as it was about to hit the sword suddenly changed directions and flew past Huang Ziyang's side and pierced towards his back. This scene was completely unexpected, and Tang Zheng turned pale with fright. What is going on? How can his sword change directions? Daoist Tianji's face revealed a pleased expression as his fingers moved as if he was guiding the sword from afar. Pooh! Huang Ziyang dodged to the side, but was unable to do so. His shoulder was pierced by the sword and blood gushed out. Imperial Sword Technique. He actually knows the Imperial Sword Technique? Tian Chanzi loudly cried out. What is the Imperial Sword Technique? Tang Zheng anxiously asked. The Imperial Sword Technique is to use sword techniques to control a weapon's attack from a distance. I should have thought of this. He is only a first-grade foundation building cultivator and has the ability to use the Imperial Sword Technique. However, he hit it too deeply. The last few times he did not use the Imperial Sword Technique, so I thought that he had not cultivated it yet. What a mistake, what a mistake. Tian Chanzi regretted. If the Imperial Sword Technique is so powerful, then is there nothing I can do? Tang Zheng unwillingly asked. Little brat, quickly run for your life. The Imperial Sword Technique is very powerful. Just think about it. The opponent does not even need to touch your body and the sword will fly over. Do you think you can dodge this kind of attack? Tang Zheng was stunned as he could not help but think of the sniper rifle. Wasn't this the same principle? Using a long-distance attack to ensure that one was in an invincible position. Haha, little brat, have a taste of my Imperial Sword Technique. Prepare to die. Daoist Tianji madly laughed as his hands formed a sword technique and the sword flew towards Tang Zheng with a biting cold killing intent. Chapter 163. The Imperial Sword Technique was clearly able to increase the power of the sword. Tang Zheng had already used the Imperial Sword Technique. In that instant, the first 20 moves of the Outer Heaven Flying Immortal Technique exploded out, forming a thick wall of sword light in front of him. Pung! The sword fiercely chopped down on the wall, causing it to collapse. Tang Zheng, who was hiding behind the wall, fiercely thrust his sword forward. Dang! The sword was sent flying. Daoist Tianji coldly laughed. You want to turn defeat into victory with just this little bit of counterattack? Stop daydreaming and overestimate yourself. Attack. The sword in his hand changed and the sword once again flew over. This time, it was from a high vantage point, diving down from the sky with an even more biting cold aura. Little brat, hurry up and run. I already told you that you are not a match for the Imperial Sword Technique. Tian Chanzi anxiously urged. Don't say any more, I will not run. If I run, then Huang Ziyang will definitely be killed by him. Then I will have no one to help me in the future, so I must take advantage of this opportunity to work together with him to kill Daoist Tianji. Tang Zheng had already made up his mind and could not be changed. Foolish, you really are foolish. Tian Chanzi really wanted to curse out loud, but there was nothing he could do. Seeing the long sword descend from the sky, Tang Zheng used his sword to block. The Battle Soul sword let out a long cry, and a black light burst forth to meet the attack. With a loud dang sound, Tang Zheng's arm went numb, and the Battle Soul sword almost slipped out of his hand. The sword was about to launch another series of attacks when Huang Ziang finally moved. Even though his shoulder was pierced by the sword, his life was not in danger, so he charged at Daoist Tianji without any regard for his own safety. In terms of physical strength, Daoist Tianji was clearly inferior to Huang Ziang, who had turned into a puppet and was not afraid of death. Thus, when he saw Huang Ziang charging at him, Daoist Tianji was startled. He bent his finger and the sword flew back, stabbing towards Huang Ziang's back. This sword was aimed at the heart. If it pierced through, then Huang Ziang would definitely die. Careful! Tang Zheng roared and fiercely pounced forward. The War Soul sword flew into the air and flew out of his hand, slashing at the long sword that was flying back. Clang! The long sword tilted and fell to the ground. Daoist Tianji's face clearly flashed with an abnormal red. At the same time, he dodged to the side, avoiding Huang Ziang's attack. Brat, there's a chance. I finally know why he didn't use the Imperial Sword technique before. The Imperial Sword technique consumes a lot of innate qi, and his innate qi is obviously not enough. So as long as you continue to exhaust his innate qi, his Imperial Sword technique will fail. Tian Chanzi shouted in surprise. Tang Zheng's eyes lit up. Why didn't you say so earlier? That way, we wouldn't have to attack with all our might. We'll just fight with him to the end and exhaust him to death. Tian Chanzi said embarrassedly, didn't I just see it? No wonder he's only a first-grade foundation establishment cultivator at such an old age. It's obvious that he doesn't practice any powerful cultivation technique. Naturally, his true qi won't be too much, so this is your chance. Tang Zheng let out a sigh of relief. He picked up Battle Soul and shouted, Huang Ziang, return to defense. Huang Ziang quickly retreated and stood beside him. His blood had already stopped flowing, and it was obvious that he had used his own inner qi to seal his meridians. However, looking at the blood that had formed a blood scab was still very frightening. Daoist Tianji saw that Tang Zheng had turned to defense, and his eyebrows immediately wrinkled. Tian Chanzi's fiery eyes were not wrong. Although the Imperial Sword technique was powerful, Daoist Tianji did not have enough innate qi to control the longsword, so he had to end the battle quickly. Tang Zheng turning to defense was something that he did not want to see the most. Brat, why are you scared? Didn't you shamelessly boast that you wanted to kill me? Come on. Daoist Tianji's thoughts turned as he immediately provoked. Tang Zheng chuckled. I'm tired from fighting. Can I rest for a while? Rest? How can you rest in battle? That's for others. In any case, I want to rest for a while. Tang Zheng saw that the longsword was floating in the air, and that Daoist Tianji's innate qi was being consumed. This was enough. Brat, don't even think about resting. Prepare to die. Daoist Tianji pointed his finger, and the longsword attacked Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng and Huang Ziang were like two rabbits running around the large warehouse. Fortunately, the warehouse was large enough to give the two enough space to escape the pursuit of the longsword. After running a few laps, the two of them were not even panting for breath. However, Daoist Tianji's face was clearly becoming more and more ugly. Tang Zheng was secretly delighted. This father wants to exhaust you to death. When the time comes, it will be 2 against 1, and you will not be able to hold on. Daoist Tianji's heart was a little flustered. These two people are monkeys. If I don't face them head-on, it will be difficult to kill them. No, I have to think of a way. My innate qi is being consumed too quickly. Brat, you are a coward. Daoist Tianji angrily cursed. Tang Zheng laughed out loud. Haha, how can you curse me? I didn't run far. If you are really strong, then catch up to me. Isn't your shrinking earth into inches very strong? Come and chase me. Tang Zheng was like a big swindler trying to trick a little girl, tricking Daoist Tianji into chasing after him. As long as Daoist Tianji used the imperial sword technique and at the same time used spatial shrinking to chase after him, then his true qi would be consumed even faster. Daoist Tianji clearly understood that this was seeking death. He could not help but stare at Tang Zheng. From his eyes, he could see a trace of craftiness. His heart was in chaos. This brat has already seen through my weakness. He is only at the 6th grade of refining qi, so how could he see through my weakness? But with Tang Zheng's previous performance that exceeded common sense, it seemed that seeing through his weakness was not a big deal. Thus, he could not do as Tang Zheng wished. Brat, you want to run in circles with me? Stop dreaming. Daoist Tianji waved his hand, and the long sword flew back into his hand. Tang Zheng was stunned for a moment before asking, "Why aren't you using the imperial sword technique?" Continue. Daoist Tianji's face was ashen as he gnashed his teeth and said, "Don't think that I don't know what you're planning. You want to consume my innate qi, right? Dream on." Seeing that Daoist Tianji had seen through his intentions, Tang Zheng did not panic as he said, "If you don't use the imperial sword technique, then are you a match for the both of us?" Daoist Tianji's face froze. This was a dead end. If he used the imperial sword technique, then Tang Zheng would not be able to fight him head-on and would only consume his innate qi. If he did not use the imperial sword technique, then his power would be greatly reduced. With Tang Zheng and Huang Ziyang working together, he would be in a passive position. In short, Daoist Tianji had fallen into this dead end. His eyes were bulging, but he was helpless as he could not find a way out of this dead end. This time it was Tang Zheng's turn to take the initiative as he looked at Daoist Tianji with ridicule. "Daoist Tianji, why don't you obediently surrender, and then we won't have to fight?" Tang Zheng provoked. Wishful thinking. Kill. Daoist Tianji did not want to waste any more time as he held his sword in one hand and charged forward. This time Tang Zheng did not retreat, but instead attacked together with Huang Ziyang. The two of them had experienced the battle with Huang Si, so their coordination was quite good. Huang Ziyang was at the front like a human shield, protecting Tang Zheng behind him while Tang Zheng was constantly looking for an opportunity to deal a painful blow to Daoist Tianji. Palm shadows flew out as they tangled with Daoist Tianji's sword. Back and forth, it was incomparably intense. Huang Ziyang took a few more blows, but it was as if nothing had happened. Instead, the more he fought, the braver he became. Daoist Tianji, on the other hand, was not so relaxed as Huang Ziyang's palm techniques were fierce and swift. As long as he was hit, he would suffer greatly. However, Huang Ziyang's defense was very tight, and it was very difficult to deal a fatal blow to him. Daoist Tianji's face was bitter as he also had to be wary of Tang Zheng, who was hiding behind Huang Ziyang. His multitasking caused his attacks to become more and more chaotic. "Hi hey, Tian Chanzi. Luckily, I didn't listen to your advice and run, otherwise it would have been too difficult to wait for such an opportunity," Tang Zheng said proudly. "Do you think I wanted you to run? Isn't that something that can't be helped? Moreover, I can't bear to throw away such a good puppet. I must properly raise it, and in the future its cultivation will definitely surpass your imagination," Tian Chanzi said longingly. Tang Zheng's heart skipped a beat as he looked at Huang Ziyang's back and said, "Can he really cultivate to a very powerful level?" Of course. Puppets have one advantage, and that is that they do not have any distracting thoughts. They can focus on cultivation, so their cultivation speed is much faster than normal people. Tang Zheng suddenly realized, but he had to admit that Tian Chanzi's move was very useful. If he did not have Huang Ziyang as a puppet, not to mention dealing with Huang Si, he would only be able to run away from this Daoist Tianji. Daoist Tianji's qi was quickly being consumed, but Huang Ziyang seemed to not know what fatigue was, causing him to be overwhelmed. Suddenly, Daoist Tianji roared as his sword pierced through Huang Ziyang's ribs and left his hand. He had once again used the imperial sword technique, but this time his speed was clearly not as fast as before. He had actually sneak-attacked Tang Zheng. Tang Zheng's reaction was very fast as he leapt onto Huang Ziyang's shoulder and threw himself at Daoist Tianji. Battle Spirit's sword hummed incessantly as if it could smell the scent of fresh blood. Daoist Tianji was unarmed as he hurriedly retreated and summoned his sword to defend himself. Just as the sword flew past Huang Ziyang suddenly stretched out his two palms and clasped them together. Pong! A muffled sound rang out as his two palms caught the sword. The sword trembled incessantly, as if it was responding to its master's summons. However, Huang Xiang's expression did not change and his hands did not relax in the slightest. Fresh blood dripped from his palms onto the ground, but he was completely unaware of it. Tang Zheng glanced at this scene from the corner of his eyes and was deeply shocked. The puppet's attack power was too strong, and it did not fear death. Daoist Tianji clearly did not expect this move as his sword was controlled. He was unarmed and had no strength to resist Tang Zheng. He retreated again and again until he reached the wall. Tang Zheng was like a shadow as battle spirit appeared in front of his chest. Daoist Tianji was forced to helplessly extend his palms. Pong! He caught battle spirit. He seemed to want to learn from Huang Xiang, but he forgot that he was not a puppet. Tang Zheng's lips curled into a cold smile. When Daoist Tianji saw this smile, his mind was shaken as he thought that things were not good. As expected, a light purple true fire shot out from the War Soul Sword and quickly spread to Daoist Tianji's arms, directly drilling into his skin. Daoist Tianji was horrified and subconsciously loosened his grip, allowing the Battle Soul Sword to pierce straight into his chest. Chapter 164. Daoist Tianji lowered his head, looking at his own chest in disbelief. That battle soul that flickered with a black light was so real. Fresh blood dripped down from the blade and dripped onto the ground, while a piercing pain filled his entire mind. Free novel portal, his face turned pale, and his lips began to tremble involuntarily. He subconsciously cried out in pain and wanted to raise his hands to counterattack, but found that his hands were powerless and he could no longer raise them. You, how is this possible? I am a first-grade foundation establishment. How can you kill me? Daoist Tianji was dumbstruck and in disbelief, hoping that this was all an illusion. Tang Zheng coldly snorted and did not waste words with him. He quickly grabbed his head and used the soul-searching technique. Daoist Tianji's heart had already been pierced, and he would immediately die. Tang Zheng had to grab this last chance to search his brain for information. Soul-searching technique. Daoist Tianji was shocked, his eyes almost popping out, but he had no way to resist. He screamed out, "No!" The screams came to an abrupt end as the soul-searching technique had already taken effect. Daoist Tianji's eyes immediately became sluggish, and his life was quickly draining away. After a moment, Tang Zheng released his hand, and his expression became serious. His guess seemed to be correct. Because there were too few cultivators in this world and martial artists were growing stronger day by day, there were many martial artist experts, and there seemed to be a mysterious organization that was hostile to cultivators. Daoist Tianji had once encountered people from this organization, but they were all killed by Daoist Tianji. However, Daoist Tianji understood that behind these people, there was definitely an expert that he could not provoke. Therefore, these past few years, the master and disciple did not dare to act with great fanfare and only carefully searched for other cultivators. Luckily, I did not expose myself, otherwise this mysterious organization would definitely come looking for me. Even Daoist Tianji is afraid of them, so I am definitely not their opponent. Tang Zheng said with a lingering fear in his heart. This world was far more dangerous than he had imagined. Tian Chanzi's mood was clearly more complicated than Tang Zheng's. He muttered to himself in disbelief. How is this possible? Back then, cultivators and martial artists coexisted, but the strength of cultivators definitely surpassed that of martial artists. Why was it that after 1,000 years, martial artists prospered, while cultivators were few and far between? Even being chased by martial artists, this, Xiuzha, are too cowardly. As a powerful cultivator from 1,000 years ago, Tian Chanzi was undoubtedly very proud, but now he found that this pride had actually faded with the development of time. No, brat, you must revive the glory of the cultivators. Cultivators cannot decline. Tian Chanzi suddenly roared at the top of his lungs. Moreover, I believe that there are definitely cultivators in this world, although I don't know why they are hiding, and what happened in the past 1,000 years. Tang Zheng was stunned. He had never seen such an abnormal emotion from him. He hurriedly advised, Tian Chanzi, the times are changing. There's nothing to be surprised about. Look at how many dynasties have risen and fallen. This is the law of nature. Nonsense. Dynasties can disappear, but cultivators will never disappear. The dignity of cultivators cannot be trampled on. Tian Chanzi was so agitated that he could not control himself. Tang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry as he asked, Tian Chanzi, when did you have such a sense of honor? This is not a sense of honor, but a sense of self-respect. Look at the information in Daoist Tianji's mind. There are actually martial artists that are hunting down cultivators. This is the biggest joke in the world. What are martial artists? They actually dare to contend with cultivators. Tian Chanzi said disdainfully. Tang Zheng was speechless. He could only say, wait until you are reborn. Won't you be able to work hard towards your goal? Why would you need me? Moreover, my cultivation is still too low. What do you know? Although my cultivation is higher than yours, I can foresee that your future achievements will definitely be higher than mine. Moreover, you have the 9 young saint body. You also have the ancient clear heaven scroll. It seems that this is the will of the heavens for you to bring cultivators back to glory. Tang Zheng did not know whether to laugh or cry. With just a few words, Tian Chanzi had placed such a heavy burden on his shoulders. This caused his little heart to be unable to bear it. He also felt that it was very unreal. Tian Chanzi, didn't you say that I am not human? Don't let others discover my secret. Now that you have me carry such a heavy burden, aren't you just putting me in front of everyone? Even if the martial artists do not kill me, in the future other cultivators will know that my true fire is in my sea of consciousness. Then wouldn't I only have one path? Death? This? Tian Chanzi was stumped. So, let's not talk about such a high and mighty problem. I should focus on increasing my cultivation first. Tang Zheng said. Tian Chanzi helplessly let out a long sigh. Then we can only do this. Let's see if Daoist Tianji has any treasures. Tang Zheng felt his heart heat up as he hurriedly searched. There was nothing. That's right. Just now I discovered that there was a memory in his mind. It seems that he has hidden his secret manuals and cultivation techniques in a certain place. Let's go look for it. Daoist Tianji snorted disdainfully. His cultivation technique is so weak. What is there to look for? Tang Zheng did not agree. Daoist Tianji had cultivated for tens of years, so there was bound to be something worth learning from. There was no harm in taking a look. Moreover, if those cultivation techniques fell into the hands of others, it might not be a good thing, so it was best to look for them. However, the grade of his sword is clearly higher than your battle spirit. You can keep it. Tian Chanzi suggested. Tang Zheng's gaze fell on the long sword. This sword was a bit longer than Tang Zheng's sword and was much thinner. It shone with a cold light, like the flowing autumn water. It was not as dark as the War Soul sword, and its appearance was much better. This is a Huang-grade magic weapon. It is much stronger than ordinary swords, so of course I have to collect it. Sure doesn't have any magic weapons, right? This sword is perfect for her. Tang Zheng happily said. AI. In the past I had collected quite a few magic weapons, but they were all lost in the final battle. Otherwise, I would not have let my disciple use a Huang-grade magic weapon. Tian Chanzi said regretfully. It seemed that letting Fang Shishir use a Huang-grade magic weapon was a loss of face for him. Tang Zheng laughed involuntarily and ridiculed. Tian Chanzi, anyone can talk big. The key is that you don't have a single magic weapon, and you don't even have a greeting gift for your disciple. I want to see how you will have the face to see Shishir. Tian Chanzi awkwardly coughed and said, I don't have one. Could it be that I don't know how to find one? Moreover, didn't Daoist Tianji just say that Mu Hongyan's deceased husband had a magic weapon? Tang Zheng's heart moved. Just now he had used the soul-searching technique to find out that this magic weapon was actually a mysterious grade magic weapon. It was a grade higher than battle spirit. No wonder Daoist Tianji wanted to kill him and steal it. But that person is already dead. How am I supposed to find it? Tang Zheng said disappointedly. Little brat, I said you were an idiot, but you didn't believe me. He is dead, but Mu Hongyan is still alive. Mu Hongyan is not a simple woman, so you can ask her if she knows the details. Daoist Tianji did not obtain this magic weapon, and you killed him. This can be considered as taking revenge for Mu Hongyan's deceased husband. Moreover, if this magic weapon does not appear in this world, wouldn't it be like a pearl covered in dust? So if you find this magic weapon, it can be considered a good thing. Tian Chanzi advised. Tang Zheng's heart moved. The temptation of a mysterious grade magic weapon could not be said to be small. Tang Zheng now understood more and more the importance of magic weapons. If he had this magic weapon, then when he faced other experts his battle prowess would definitely increase by a lot. Okay, after the college entrance exam, I will find time to go to Dianan. In any case, I have already promised Nana that I will go see her. I will take the opportunity to see if there is any trace of this magic weapon's whereabouts. Tang Zheng made up his mind. Tian Chanzi laughed and praised. That's right. You must take advantage of every opportunity to increase your strength. Tang Zheng looked at the messy warehouse and dialed Lin Hu's number. Huzi, come clean up the warehouse. There is a corpse. Young Master Tang, what happened? I heard from Dao Zai that you were in trouble. I was just thinking of going over to help. Is there someone who is blind enough to provoke you? Lin Hu's imposing manner was aggressive. Tang Zheng lightly said, the matter has already been resolved. You can just send someone to the warehouse. I will wait for you. Okay, I will be right there. Young Master Tang, tonight the ordinary balance's movements are too big. I don't know who is causing trouble. Our people are already investigating. We have just taken down the ordinary balance. We absolutely cannot be in chaos. Lin Hu indignantly said. Tang Zheng helplessly smiled bitterly and said, this movement was caused by me. You don't have to worry about it. Ah, so it was young Master Tang. No wonder there was such a big movement. I thought some powerful dragon came to ordinary balance. Lin Hu exclaimed and then hung up the phone. More than 10 minutes later, a car stopped in front of the warehouse. Young Master Tang. Lin Hu greeted from afar. Behind him were Dong Zai and Dao Zai, his two trusted aides, clearly for the sake of secrecy. Tonight the police have all been dispatched, and our people have all been questioned. However, there are no major issues. Hey, who would have thought that it was young Master Tang's handiwork? However, the movement was truly too big. I heard that there were quite a few shops in the business district that were damaged. Moreover, the ground was also heavily damaged. It was as if it had been smashed by a 10,000 gene boulder. It was full of potholes, just like the surface of the moon. Lin Hu excitedly said. Tang Zheng shook his head. This kind of large movement was not what he wanted. However, Daoist Tianji's unbridled attack was truly unable to quiet down the commotion. Don't just watch the show. Clean him up. Tang Zheng pointed at Daoist Tianji on the ground and said. Lin Hu did not ask who this person was as this was his duty as a subordinate. He solemnly waved his hand and Dao Zai and Dong Zai moved the corpse into the trunk of the car. Clean it up. Tang Zheng warned. Understood. Lin Hu nodded his head as his gaze involuntarily fell on Huang Xiang's body. The wounds and blood on his body were a ghastly sight, causing several people's hearts to jump. They could not help but look at Huang Xiang with a whole new level of respect and fear. Bring him back to treat his wounds. Tang Zheng pointed at Huang Xiang and said, yes. In addition, you are not allowed to mention this matter to anyone. Do you understand? Tang Zheng's gaze turned cold. Several people's hearts trembled as they hurriedly said, young Master Tang, rest assured. Even if we die, we will take this matter to our stomachs. Tang Zheng's prestige grew day by day, causing several people to gradually feel the pressure. Tang Zheng nodded his head in satisfaction as he walked out of the warehouse towards the place where Daoist Tianji had hidden his secret technique. Chapter 165. Looking at the empty cave, Tang Zheng couldn't help but be dumbstruck. How did the secret book disappear? Shouldn't it be in this cave? Daoist Tianji had the habit of a crafty rabbit having 3 burrows. He would never carry his secret book on him because he was afraid of meeting a strong opponent and having it stolen. This secret book was not a martial art. As long as someone looked at it, they would be able to see through his identity as a cultivator. This was no different from asking for trouble. Thus, every time he went to a place, he would secretly hide the secret book. This time was no exception as he hid the secret book in this cave. The location of this cave was very remote, and it was hard for a normal person to find it. However, the secret book flew away without wings. What happened? Tang Zheng's gaze became serious. There must be a demon behind this abnormality. Perhaps these secret manuals were not of much use to him, but since they had mysteriously disappeared, he had to get to the bottom of this. Otherwise, he would always feel uneasy in his heart. He wandered around the cave for a long time, but was unable to find any clues. Just who was it that took the secret book? Tang Zheng was puzzled, but had no other choice. He could only leave the cave, and once again return to Fang Shishi's house. However, he found that there was already a police cordon and many police officers were still there, questioning the residents. Tang Zheng also saw Fang Shishi in the crowd. She had already finished cultivating. Fang Chonghua and Shi Mingqin had bitter faces as they looked back at the dilapidated villa. They wanted to cry but had no tears. The two of them were sleeping soundly when they were awoken by the huge commotion outside. When they saw the scene in their house, they really wanted to curse out loud. Who did the Fang clan provoke? They attracted this unexpected calamity. If they were to know that this was all because of Tang Zheng, they would probably take a stick and chase Tang Zheng away. Fang Shishi flew towards Tang Zheng with a puzzled expression. She was previously immersed in her cultivation and did not know the situation outside. Tang Zheng held her hand and squeezed it, quietly saying, "The enemy has already been dealt with." Fang Shishi's eyes lit up. Tonight's matter was done by the heavenly secret Taoist, right? Her memory of the beggar-like, heavenly secret Taoist was still fresh in her mind. Tang Zheng nodded his head. "He will never come and bother us again." Fang Shishi covered her mouth in surprise as her eyes widened. "You killed him?" Tang Zheng did not deny it and said, "He is a huge threat. If I don't kill him, he will kill me. If I kill someone, are you afraid of me?" Tang Zheng used to be a good student. At most, he had killed chickens. However, it was especially at this time that he could not show any shock or fear. Instead, he acted as if nothing had happened and lightly said, "Oh, you're talking about this. Teacher Lu bit me." Teacher Lu? Lu Qingmei? Fang Shishi was even more shocked than before. Her eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. Why would she bite you? Did you do something to her? What are you thinking about? Tang Zheng felt a bit guilty, but his expression was calm. Last time when I saved her from the hands of a criminal, I was accidentally bitten by her. Could it be that she was kidnapped a few days ago? Right? Didn't I also go out to look for her? I just happened to find her with a policeman and conveniently saved her. You also know that I am very willing to help others. Tang Zheng shamelessly said. Fang Shishi suspiciously looked at him. Seeing that he didn't have any abnormalities, she finally relaxed. She patted her chest, feeling that her reaction was a bit too extreme. She embarrassedly smiled and said, "I also feel that it's impossible between you and Teacher Lu. She's an ice goddess. How many people want to get close to her?" "That's right. Do you have any thoughts towards her?" Tang Zheng hurriedly said, "Absolutely not. Don't I already have you?" "You don't mean what you say." Tian Chanzi appeared and disdainfully said, "This disciple of mine is just too kind. She can even believe the words of a man. If that's the case, then even pigs can climb trees." Tang Zheng really wanted to roll his eyes. "Aren't you a man?" "Of course I am, but I don't like women." "Ah, could it be that you like men? Gay?" "Nonsense. I wholeheartedly cultivate. How could I have the leisure to think about a mess of male and female affairs?" Tian Chanzi flew into a rage. "Aren't you the one who forced me to do this? You even want me to cast a wide net to catch more fish." Tang Zheng retorted. "Hey, isn't this because of your special constitution?" Tian Chanzi bitterly smiled. Tang Zheng did not want to be entangled in this topic with him. Seeing Fang Shishi beaming with joy, he hurriedly changed the topic. "Hurry up and pack up. You have so many things. It will take you half a day to pack up." The family packed up quite a few things and moved overnight to their new home. Only then did Tang Zheng leave under Shi Mingqin's covetous gaze. Ordinary Balance's big movements became the topic of many people's conversations, but no one took it seriously. However, there were some people who took it seriously and were extremely cautious. When the sun was high up in the sky, Several black off-road vehicles screamed as they arrived at the villa district. Most of the people here had already left, but the traces left behind from last night were even more obvious under the sunlight. It was a ghastly sight. A pair of long legs stepped out of the off-road vehicle. Beneath her feet were a pair of flat shoes, but when this person completely stood on the ground, she was like a crane in a flock of chickens. A height of 1.8 meters could be considered normal for a man, but for a woman, it was absolutely like a crane in a flock of chickens. This made her look a bit taller than the men beside her. Moreover, she did not have the common weakness of many tall women, a large frame. However, her frame was on the smaller side, so she looked very well proportioned. Her face was also very beautiful. Her pair of eyes were like a sharp blade hidden in her bangs, making it difficult for others to see through her thoughts. However, her aura made it impossible for others to ignore her. They were even unable to look directly at her, making them feel timid in their hearts. She walked towards the villa that was riddled with holes, and the police who were left behind to guard it immediately welcomed her. "Who are you? This is the crime scene. You are not allowed to approach." She acted as if she did not hear anything and removed the yellow police tape, completely ignoring the two police officers. This aura caused the police officers to unconsciously take half a step back. "I'm warning you, you are not allowed to come any closer. Otherwise, we won't be polite." The two police officers placed their hands on their holsters, ready to fire. She still did not listen and walked straight to the villa entrance. She quickly extended a hand. Her hand was not white, but rather a healthy wheat color. Bang! This hand grabbed the wall of the villa, and the hard brick was like a piece of tofu. Her seemingly weak fingers pierced into it, and then she pulled outwards, and a piece of broken marble appeared in her hand. The police officers at the side were already dumbfounded. This skill was too scary, and it was even a woman. However, they still remembered their duty and immediately took out their pistols and pointed them at her. "Don't move, or we'll shoot." She still did not react, only staring at the marble, as if the attraction of the stone was far greater than the two pistols. "Let's go." She finally opened her mouth. Her voice was very clear and melodious, just like an oriole, which was extremely inconsistent with her tall and lofty figure. A man's voice came from the car. "Wu, are you sure?" Her name was Wu, one word, a very strange name. Wu nodded. "I'm sure." Then, he walked straight to the SUV and got in without saying a word. The others filed in, and the SUV roared away as if it had never appeared. The two police officers did not dare to shoot from the beginning to the end. Although Wu was right in front of them, and the provocation was very strong, they did not have the courage to pull the trigger. Chapter 166. Inside the car, the atmosphere was heavy. Wudama sat down and said, "This is a battle between two cultivators, and they are not weak. I suspect that the members we lost last time were killed by one of them. Please add." "Oh, are you sure?" The man's voice rang out again. Wu muttered to himself for a while. "I'm sure. My intuition has never been wrong. Last time, our people were too careless, so they fell into the enemy's trap. But this time, we will go all out, so this group of people will not be able to get any benefits." The man's voice revealed a hint of a smile, without the decisiveness of Wu's killing intent. "Humph, this group of cultivators, we must kill them all. If they dare to come to our world to cause trouble, then don't even think about living," Wu said with a murderous look. This time, two people appeared. "I don't know who the other person is. No matter who it is, they will all die. Killing all cultivators is the purpose of our martial sect." Wu's voice revealed a biting chill. "But this time it's really strange. A small ordinary balance would actually attract two cultivators. Is there anything special about this place?" "No, this is just an ordinary city. I heard that Yi Tianlei is an ordinary balance. He is a local tyrant. Find him and investigate. Maybe he knows something about what happened last night," Wu suggested. "All right." The car drove towards the Ye family's mansion and finally stopped in front of the Ye family. Wu got out of the car and said to the guard, "Call Yi Tianlei to see me." Wu was only in his 20s, but he directly called Yi Tianlei by his name, causing the guard to turn pale with fright. "Why are you looking for our master?" Wu's eyebrows immediately furrowed. She did not even look at the guard. With a tap of her foot, she soared into the sky. The several-meter-tall door was like flat ground under her feet. She steadily landed in the courtyard and walked towards the house with small steps. Her steps were small, but her speed was fast. In an instant, she arrived at the door of the house. Feng Xinyang had already come out to welcome her. Obviously, he had heard the guard's report. Feng Xinyang's eyes turned cold. She stared at the person and asked cautiously, "Who are you?" "Tell Yi Tianlei to come out." Marshall completely ignored Feng Xinyang and went straight to the point. "If you want to find Yi Tianlei, you'll have to get past me first." Feng Xinyang had an unkind expression on her face. Since the other party had come with ill intentions, the hot-tempered Feng Xinyang naturally would not be afraid. However, she was very surprised at the other party's cultivation. At such a young age, he was actually a first-grade innate stage, the same as her cultivation. However, Feng Xinyang was older than her by more than 10 years. From this, it could be seen that martial arts were not simple. "Are you Feng Xinyang?" Marshall asked. "You know me?" 20 years ago, your reputation in the capital was not small. Of course I know. I heard from others that you were a heaven-defying genius. You did not become a disciple of any famous master, but you comprehended your own martial arts from some miscellaneous martial arts. Your strength is not inferior to those famous disciples. Marshall listed Feng Xinyang's great achievements as if he was familiar with his family's treasures. Feng Xinyang laughed. "After so many years, there are still people who remember my name, Feng Xinyang. I don't know if I should be happy or not." Marshall shook his head seriously. "You shouldn't be happy because I remember you. You will definitely taste the taste of failure and be stepped on by me." "Hee, little girl, you boast shamelessly." Marshall replied to Feng Xinyang with actions. She took a small step forward, and her hand was already in front of Feng Xinyang. She also said, "The consummate skill you comprehended is called wind-fire blade. The wind is like fire and the fire is like a blade. It is a very strong martial art. It is reasonable to say that a woman is not suitable to cultivate this kind of martial art. However, you, Feng Xinyang, have comprehended it. Moreover, it is very powerful. Today, I will also use the strongest young martial art to fight with you." As her voice fell, Marshall's hand chopped down like a blade. It was even more frightening than a real blade. This hand blade carried a biting cold yang qi. It was even more manly than a man. Feng Xinyang also made his move. It was also a hand blade. It carried the wind. This wind was like a blazing fire. It whistled as it welcomed the attack. Bang! The two hand blades chopped together. A muffled sound rang out. A gust of wind rose from the place where the hand blades came in contact. The wind blew the hair of the two people back. Both of their faces were very serious. However, their eyes became brighter and brighter. It was as if they had met their life's opponent. "Good martial art. What kind of martial art is this?" Feng Xinyang asked. "Roaring flame blade. Roaring flame blade." The blade was like a raging flame. It was extremely masculine. "Good name. Then I will use my wind-fire blade to test your roaring flame blade." Feng Xinyang shouted in a low voice. Her body straightened. In an instant, she gave people a feeling of being tall. She was only 1.6 meters tall. Compared to Marshall, who was 1.8 meters tall, she looked very petite. However, when she straightened her body, it was as if she had suddenly grown several tens of centimeters. It made people feel that she was instantly tall. This kind of imposing manner was on par with Marshall. It completely made up for the difference in height between the two. Interesting. The corner of Marshall's mouth curled up. A very beautiful arc appeared. However, even this arc carried a kind of masculine beauty. It formed a strong contrast with her. It gave people a huge visual impact. The two of them took a step back at the same time. Then, they moved forward again. Another hand blade. The air seemed to have been ignited. With a crackling sound, an invisible wave of qi rippled out. The flowers and plants in front of the door were cut in half. It was a complete mess. As the parties involved, the two of them were like machines. They repeatedly waved their hand blades and chopped at each other. Things in all directions were affected. Not only were the flowers and plants in a mess, even the walls of the house had gullies. Debris flew everywhere. Stop! Suddenly, an angry roar rang out. Yi Tianlei rushed out of the house and punched towards Marshall. The air was compressed to the extreme in an instant. Following this punch, the air produced a muffled sound like that of thunder. The fist went straight for Marshall's face. However, Marshall acted as if she did not see it. She continued to wave her hand blade as if the fist was not aimed at her at all. If she were to be hit by this fist, her head would probably explode. However, in the end, there was no scene of blood splattering everywhere. A hand appeared beside Marshall. It had always been a very white hand. It was almost abnormal. It formed a strong visual contrast with Marshall's wheat-colored skin. This hand was not big. It was much smaller than Yi Tianlei's hand. However, this hand stretched out its 5 fingers and wrapped around Yi Tianlei's fist. The fist could no longer move forward and steadily stopped in front of Marshall's face. Don't fight. Fighting is the most boring thing, the owner of the hand said. He was not tall. He was only 7 meters tall. He was very weak. Standing beside Marshall, he was like a child. His face was full of smiles. That smile was like a spring breeze. However, Yi Tianlei did not feel the slightest bit of a spring breeze. Instead, he was shocked. Truly shocked. This small man was about the same age as Yi Tianlei. However, because of the smile on his face, it made him look much younger and harmless. However, Yi Tianlei knew that he could not see through the opponent's cultivation. Moreover, when his fist hit the opponent's palm, it was like hitting cotton. There was not even the slightest bit of rebound. The palm absorbed all the power of his fist. Yi Tianlei was very clear about the power of his fist. However, the opponent absorbed it so easily. He found it hard to believe. Who are you people? Yi Tianlei asked in a deep voice. The man let go of his hand, and Marshall and Feng Xinyang both stopped at the same time. Feng Xinyang stared at the other party like a tiger watching its prey. Towards this uninvited guest, she and her husband were too afraid. I am called Ding Yi. She is called Marshall. The man smiled and pointed at himself. He then pointed at Marshall. Then, from his pocket, he took out a token made of an unknown material. On it, the word Marshall was engraved. The token flashed in front of Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang before it was put into his pocket. However, the two of them clearly saw it. Feng Xinyang did not have much of a reaction. She even revealed a puzzled expression. However, she instantly saw her husband's reaction was very big. The two of them had known each other for dozens of years. She had never seen him have such a big reaction. Even the corner of his mouth slightly twitched. He blurted out, Marshall Organization? Dingy smiled and nodded. I knew that Yi Tianlei would recognize this token. My guess was not wrong. Marshall Organization. It really is the Marshall Organization. Yi Tianlei loudly cried out in his heart. He had only heard his father mention this Marshall Organization once. However, that time was unforgettable. The Marshall Organization is a very special organization. It is above the government and the large families. This organization is said to have been established for nearly 1,000 years. There are many experts, and no one dares to contend with them. This organization rarely interferes with the large families and the government. Their purpose is not known to outsiders. However, as long as the Marshall Organization appears, it will be a very serious matter. If one is targeted by the Marshall Organization, then it is really the death god's gaze. That year, Yi Xuanji had warned Yi Tianlei not to be involved with the Marshall Organization. Even more so, he must not be the enemy of the Marshall Organization. Otherwise, even if it is the Ye family, they will only be crushed into powder. Yi Xuanji's earnest teachings were still ringing in Yi Tianlei's ears. Today, Yi Tianlei finally saw a real Marshall Organization person. Although the token only had a simple Marshall word on it, it was still a Marshall Organization token. No one dared to doubt its authenticity, and no one dared to forge this token. Moreover, to many people, the Marshall Organization is an organization that does not exist. Only the top powers in the world know of its existence. Feng Xinyang looked at her husband's face, which was constantly changing. She already understood the seriousness of the matter. She was especially vigilant towards these two people. Her body was in a state of battle readiness, ready to attack at any time. As for the two words martial organization, she had never heard of it. She was very curious, but she did not ask. Yi Tianlei took a deep breath. Trying to suppress his inner emotions, he asked in a deep voice, "May I ask why the martial organization is looking for me, Yi Tianlei?" Ding Yi's smile became wider and said, "Not bad. Unexpectedly, you are not intimidated by the name of the martial organization. In these years, among the people I have met, you, Yi Tianlei, can be considered one of the best. I took the trouble to look for you. Of course there is a matter. However, your hospitality is really questionable. You actually did not invite the two of us in to have a seat." Ding Yi's tone was like that of a good friend. However, Yi Tianlei did not dare to treat him as a friend. Even if his heart was unwilling, he could only extend his hand and say, "Please." Chapter 167. Both sides sat down and Ding Yi looked around, smiling as he sighed. "You two husband and wife have developed well in ordinary balance these past few years. Sogu, 360. So searched JDXS free novel. You flatter me?" Yi Tianlei said cautiously. "Hee, no need to be so nervous. I won't kill anyone. Although I have killed many people in the past, I am not in the mood to kill today." Ding Yi waved his hand, laughing and joking. But his words revealed a killing intent that made people's heart palpitate. Marshall kept staring at Feng Xinyang with a serious expression. Her killing intent was very strong, completely different from Ding Yi's smiling face. Yi Tianlei glanced at Marshall and then turned his gaze back to Ding Yi. Compared to Marshall, who showed off her abilities, this Ding Yi made him even more unsure, making him even more fearful. "I wonder what the two of you are here for?" Yi Tianlei asked in a deep voice. Ding Yi smiled. "I'll have to trouble the two of you to help me find a person. After all, you are the local tyrants." "Who?" "I don't know." Ding Yi shook his head. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang frowned at the same time and said, "Are the two of you making fun of us?" "Of course not. We don't know who the person we are looking for is, but we have a clue. Last night ordinary balance made such a big commotion. You should know about it, right?" Yi Tianlei nodded, waiting for the other to continue. "We want to find out who made such a big commotion." Ding Yi finally revealed the purpose of their trip. Yi Tianlei shook his head. "I am about to return to Beijing, so I don't care about ordinary balance, so I can't help the two of you." "Oh, so the two of you won't cooperate?" Ding Yi asked. "It's not that we don't want to cooperate, but we don't know," Yi Tianlei explained, not wanting the other to misunderstand. "So it's like that, but with the two of you controlling ordinary balance, it shouldn't be hard to find out the truth." Ding Yi slowly said, "Just who are you looking for?" Feng Xinyang couldn't help but ask. "Enemy," Marshall coldly replied. "I don't think anyone in ordinary balance is qualified to be your enemy," Feng Xinyang retorted. Although she did not understand what kind of organization the martial organization was, from her husband's reaction, she could see the strength of this organization. They had stayed in a small place like ordinary balance for more than 20 years, but they had never found such a powerful person. Ding Yi smiled and said, "Feng Xinyang, is this a compliment to the Wuzong?" "Haha, thanks a lot. But who knows what will happen in this world? That person last night is our enemy, and the enemy of the martial organization." As he spoke, he looked deeply into Yi Tianlei's eyes. Yi Tianlei understood the meaning behind his gaze, but he was incomparably shocked. Just who was this person that could actually become the enemy of a martial organization? Then I'll change the question. Are there any strange people in ordinary balance recently? For example, some aspects that are beyond common sense. Ding Yi asked again. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang's hearts simultaneously flashed a person, but they immediately hid this thought, not revealing the slightest trace of it. Ordinary balance is like an ancient well without ripples. There really isn't such a powerful person. Yi Tianlei said. "You're lying," Marshall suddenly loudly reprimanded. Just now you hesitated for a moment. You must have thought of someone, right? Marshall's aggressive attitude made Feng Xinyang very unhappy, and she immediately retorted, "Since you don't believe us, why ask us?" Dingy smiled and waved his hand. "There is no need to be so angry. The two of you carefully think about it. This person is the enemy of our martial organization. Yi Tianlei, you should be clear on the seriousness of this matter." Yi Tianlei, of course, was clear on the seriousness of this matter, but he did not believe that Tang Zheng was the person they were looking for. To be able to become the enemy of a martial organization, he must be an extremely powerful person. How could he be a martial organization martial artist that had just started practicing martial arts? However, Tang Zheng's miraculous performance had left a deep impression on him. The average person would not be able to do this, so he and Feng Xinyang both thought of Tang Zheng. "The two of you, there is no need to use the martial organization's name to scare me. The martial organization is indeed powerful, and of course I also know the seriousness of this matter. However, I truly do not know who the two of you are looking for is. This ordinary balance is also not worth the two of you making such a big fuss over." Yi Tianlei thought for a moment and seriously said. Dingy smiled. "I heard that Yi Xuanji failed to break through to the martial scholar realm and was injured. Originally, he did not have much time left, but he was healed by ordinary balance. However, he is very secretive about this matter. I believe that the two of you should know the details. If you still say that ordinary balance is not a special person, then I'm afraid that no one would believe you." Yi Tianlei's heart thumped. This matter was only known to the few people involved. He did not expect that the other party would also think of this matter. However, Yi Tianlei still calmly said, "This is all due to the efforts of the King of Medicine." Dingy shook his head. "This is really distressing. Even at this time you still won't speak the truth. How can the King of Medicine's abilities not be known by the martial organization? Just who was it that saved Yi Xuanji? It is still not too late to say it now." "I don't know what you are talking about," Yi Tianlei firmly said. Dingy shrugged his shoulders. "Then there is nothing to talk about. If there is nothing to talk about, then let's fight. I don't like to talk anyway." Listening to you being so long-winded for so long is completely useless, Marshall impatiently said. Dingy spread out his hands. "Everything can be discussed first. This is the normal procedure. Moreover, if we fight without discussing, others will think that the martial organization is unreasonable. Since when does the martial organization need to care about what others think?" Marshall coldly said. "That is true." The smile on Dingy's face became even wider, but it made people panic. This smile had a very dangerous taste to it. There are guests in the house?" Yi Dingdang walked in and curiously looked at the two strangers. "Your two daughters are already so big," Dingy said with a smile. Feng Xinyang stood up and pulled Yi Dingdang to her side and said, "The two of you, our house does not welcome you. Please leave." "So you are saying that you will not cooperate?" Dingy asked. Yi Tianlei also stood up. "It is not that we do not want to cooperate, but that we do not have the information you want." "Oh, then there is no other way. Marshall, it seems that we can only use your method." Dingy shrugged his shoulders and helplessly said. Marshall stood up, and in an instant, the atmosphere in the hall changed. Swords were drawn and bows were drawn. Yi Dingdang stared with wide eyes. Although she did not understand what was going on, it was clear that they did not come with good intentions. In addition, the other side's oppressive aura made her heart tremble. She could not help but ask, "What are they doing?" "Of course it is to fight, little miss," Dingy said with a smile. Yi Dingdong's eyes trembled. She did not back down and said, "Then you will have to pass through me first." She was truly a newborn calf that was not afraid of the tiger. She jumped up and was about to rush towards the other side. Fortunately, Feng Xinyang's eyes were sharp and his hands were quick. He grabbed her and said in an unprecedentedly strict voice, "Do not move. They have already come knocking on our door. Don't tell me we can't fight back?" Yi Dingdang said indignantly. Feng Xinyang whispered into her ear in a voice that only the two of them could hear, "This battle is unavoidable. The other side's background is very big and their strength is also very strong. When the fight starts, you should quickly leave and find the little handsome brother. Hide. You must not be discovered by these two people." Yi Dingdang was about to refute when she heard Feng Xinyang sternly say, "This time you must listen to me." Yi Dingdang swallowed the words that were about to come out of her mouth. She was not an insensible person. Seeing that her parents were so cautious, the other side must be very powerful. "Are you done whispering to each other?" Ding Yi asked with interest. "Dingdang, quickly leave." Feng Xinyang pushed Yi Dingdang towards the door, and like a bullet, he flew out of the hall. Marshall's figure flashed and wanted to intercept him, but Feng Xinyang quickly attacked Marshall and blocked her path. Ding Yi did not move and slowly stood up. He looked at Yi Tianlei and said, "You make the first move. Otherwise, if I make the first move, you won't have any leeway to retaliate." Yi Tianlei did not question the other's arrogance. Just based on the fact that the other side had casually received his fist, he had the qualifications to say such words. Roar! Yi Tianlei let out a low roar and rushed forward like a bull. His fist rushed forward without any fancy moves. It looked like a simple punch. However, in front of an expert, the power of this punch was not to be underestimated. Ding Yi stretched out his hand. His hand was very soft as he lightly welcomed the punch. Without a sound, the fist directly hit Ding Yi's palm. Ding Yi's hand was pushed back a few centimeters and then quickly wrapped around it. Yi Tianlei was very clear that as long as his opponent's hand wrapped around his fist, he would not be able to attack. Thus, he hastily withdrew his fist and took a small step back. Ding Yi's hand was like a shadow, always a few centimeters away from Yi Tianlei's fist. Seeing this, Yi Tianlei punched out with both his fists. Two strong gusts of wind swept out and attacked Ding Yi. Ding Yi was calm and composed. His face still had a smile. Like before, his hand gently brushed past the two fists. Yi Tianlei felt as if he had been hit by 1,000 caddies of heavy force and involuntarily took a few steps back. This seemingly simple sweep was actually more powerful than Yi Tianlei's two fists. It was hard to believe. What kind of martial arts is this? Soft palm, Ding Yi said. Yi Tianlei's eyebrows wrinkled. He had heard of this martial art before. It was very difficult to get started in this martial art, and it was even more difficult to train to a certain level. However, once one reached a higher level, the power was extremely terrifying. Using softness to overcome strength, Yi Tianlei's attack was stronger than his opponent's counterattack. Of course, if one's martial arts far exceeded the opponent's, then one could still use a strong enough attack to destroy the opponent's seemingly invincible soft palm. Yi Tianlei, it's not too late for you to speak now. Otherwise, it will really be too late. This matter is far more serious than you can imagine, Ding Yi said. Yi Tianlei coldly snorted. There's nothing to say. Your martial organization uses your power to bully others. If I don't die, then I definitely won't let this matter rest. Since that's the case, then I won't be polite. Ding Yi floated forward as if he had escaped the gravitational pull of the planet. His palm swept towards Yi Tianlei. It was clear that in order to force the enemy to retreat, she had used this move and her internal organs had been shaken. However, she no longer cared about her injuries as she rushed towards Yi Tianlei and hurriedly helped him up. Yi Tianlei's face was deathly pale. The clothes on his chest had been torn apart and a palm print was imprinted on his chest. It was a ghastly sight. If you have the guts, then kill us. Otherwise, I will definitely find you for revenge and kill everyone in your martial organization. Feng Xinyang roared. Hee, don't be angry. Victory and defeat are common in war. I already said that I do not want to kill anyone today, so you will temporarily not die. Ding Yi's smile was still the same, but it made people feel a chill from the bottom of their hearts. Ding Yi and Marshall walked step by step towards Feng Xinyang. Feng Xinyang carried her husband on her back and retreated step by step out of the hole in the wall. Want to escape? I'm afraid it won't be that easy, Ding Yi lightly said. Just as he finished speaking, Marshall's body flashed and blocked Feng Xinyang's escape route. Being attacked from the front and back and her husband being heavily injured, Feng Xinyang had no way of escaping. Actually, I am very curious as to where you secretly took your daughter. But don't worry, we will investigate clearly. If you are related to the enemies of the martial organization, then even if Yi Xuanji appears, he will not be able to protect you. I don't even know what you are talking about. What enemies of the martial organization? We don't even know. Feng Xinyang gnashed her teeth and said, "Don't worry, we will investigate clearly." After Ding Yi finished speaking, he floated over and pressed his palm forward. Feng Xinyang raised her hand to block, but was still restrained by that pair of soft hands. The Ye family couple was captured alive and fell into the hands of the martial organization. "Marshal, you go chase after that little girl," Ding Yi said. Marshal wordlessly accepted the order and left. Yi Dingding madly ran while dialing Tang Zheng's number. "Hey, where are you?" "I just got home. What's wrong?" Tang Zheng curiously asked. Yi Dingdong's breathing was very heavy, which made him feel a little strange. "Okay, wait for me. We must leave immediately." Yi Dingdang did not foolishly go back to save her parents. She never did things sloppily. This point was very similar to Feng Xinyang. Since Feng Xinyang told her to run, then she would not turn back because she had absolute trust in Feng Xinyang. What happened? Tang Zhang had never seen Yi Dingdang so panicked before and could not help but be shocked. "I can't explain in a few sentences. Wait for me." Tang Zhang listened to the beeping sound and was at a loss as to what to do. Just what had happened? Hearing her tone, it seemed like there was a great danger. He could not guess clearly, so he greeted his grandfather and then went downstairs. After a while, he saw Yi Dingdang madly running over, sweating profusely and in a slightly sorry state. "What happened?" Tang Zheng asked. Yi Dingdang took a deep breath as her chest heaved up and down. Her jet black hair and sweat stood on her forehead. She lacked her usual valiant appearance and had a trace of feminine beauty. But her expression was not gentle at all. Instead, it was a mixture of nervousness and worry. "Two experts came to my house. My father and Feng Xinyang are dealing with them. Feng Xinyang told me to find you and then hide." Yi Dingdang explained the situation in a few words. Tang Zheng's expression suddenly changed. "Even the two of them can't deal with them, and then they told you to escape?" These two were first-grade innate stage experts. An enemy that they could not deal with. How strong must they be? He was completely unaware that the Ye family suffered an unexpected calamity because of him. "How did your family have such a powerful enemy?" "How would I know?" Yi Dingdang unhappily said. "When I returned home, I saw the situation with swords drawn and bows bent. Then Feng Xinyang told me to find you and escape together." "Then you don't know what's the situation with your family?" "I ran all the way. How would I know?" Tang Jing nodded. "Then come with me." Since such a powerful expert appeared in ordinary balance, Tang Jing naturally had to make preparations. If Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang could deal with the enemy, then everything would be easily solved. If they could not, then Tang Jing's days would not be easy. Of course, since Feng Xinyang told Yi Dingdang to find him, he could not refuse Yi Dingdang. So the two took a taxi and rushed to a remote house in the north of the city. Huang Ziang was placed here. Since the enemy was so powerful, then he needed Huang Ziang's help even more. When Yi Dingdang saw Huang Ziang, she almost screamed. "Why is he here?" She still remembered the time when Huang Ziang and Tang Zheng were like fire and water. "Don't be afraid. He is one of my people." Tang Zheng comforted. Yi Dingdang was bewildered as she deeply looked at Huang Ziang, only to see him sitting there without saying a word. Even his eyes were tightly shut. The two people entering did not cause him to have the slightest reaction. Tang Jing knew that Huang Ziang was cultivating, so he did not disturb him. He said in a low voice, "This place is absolutely safe. It is very difficult for ordinary people to find it." "That's good. What's going on with him?" Yi Dingdang pointed at Huang Ziang and asked. "Don't worry about him. First, find out what happened to your family." "How would I know? I have never seen those two people, but they are definitely not weaker than my parents." Yi Dingdang said worriedly. Tang Zheng's eyebrows trembled. "That's strange. How could such powerful experts appear in ordinary balance?" "I'm also very strange." Also, there was such a big commotion in ordinary balance last night. It seems that some people said that it was caused by a fight between experts. Yi Dingdang said suspiciously. Tang Zheng smiled embarrassedly and did not mention last night's matter. He continued to say, "Right now, our top priority is to find out what happened to your family." Yi Dingding nodded. "Right, we have to find out. During this time, my father dismissed all of his subordinates. Otherwise, we would have been able to delay this group of people. These past few years, the Ye family had been in business for a long time. Although they did not involve themselves in matters of the underworld, they still had their own power. However, because Yi Tianlei wanted to return to Beijing, this group of people had been dismissed. This was also the reason why there was such a big commotion in the Ye family's manor, but not a single helper. I will send someone to investigate the area around your family," Tang Jing said as he dialed Lin Hu's number. He told him to send some smart people to the Ye family's area, but be careful not to be discovered. Hearing him make the call, Yi Dingdang suspiciously said, "It seems like your relationship with the underworld in ordinary balance is getting better and better. Especially this Lin Hu. I heard that Huang Si died and his territory was taken over by Lin Hu." As she said this, she curiously turned her head to look at Huang Ziang. However, she saw that his eyes were closed. He did not have the slightest reaction when Huang Si was mentioned. This made her very surprised. Tang Zheng smiled and did not answer this question. For a moment, the atmosphere in the room was a bit awkward. Tang Zheng hesitated for a moment before breaking the silence and asking, "Is it your family's enemy who came this time?" "Definitely not. My family doesn't have any enemies." "That's not necessarily true. Last time on Ordinary Balance Mountain, didn't someone try to assassinate you?" Tang Zheng disagreed. After that assassination attempt, Yi Dingdang did not encounter any more danger, and Yi Tianlei's investigation also did not have any clues. Originally, he thought that there would be people who would harm Yi Dingdang. Feng Xinyang even asked Tang Zheng to protect Yi Dingdang at school. However, nothing happened in the end. So much time had passed that he almost forgot about it. When Yi Dingdang was reminded of that assassination attempt, she still felt a lingering fear. If it wasn't for Tang Zheng, she would have already become a wandering ghost on Ordinary Balance Mountain. She deeply looked at Tang Zheng and could not help but think that the 2 times she met with danger, it was Tang Zheng who asked for help. It was as if he was her savior. "Hong, who wants him to save me? My cultivation will soon break through to the 6th grade refining body. At that time, I will be able to surpass him," she thought unhappily. Suddenly, her phone rang. It was Lin Hu calling. Chapter 169. Young Master Tang. Something big has happened. The Ye family seems to have been attacked by someone. It is said that the Ye family has been taken away. Lin Hu said in a panic. He had been in the Ordinary Balance for many years, so of course he knew that the Ye family was not someone he could provoke. They were true martial experts, but this time they were actually taken away. It was truly inconceivable. Tang Zheng's head sank as he asked, "Do you know where those people are?" "I don't know. Young Master Tang, they are definitely foreign dragons. What should we do?" Tang Zheng muttered, "You do your own thing. Also, look for clues about the Ye family. If you have any clues, then tell me." "I understand. Young Master Tang, pay attention to your safety." Yi Dingding saw him hang up and quickly asked, "How is my family?" Tang Zheng frowned and shook his head. "Your parents were taken away, but I don't know where they are." Yi Dingdong's face suddenly changed. She originally thought that with her parents' cultivation, even if they were not a match, they would still have a chance to escape. She did not expect that they would be taken away. "Then what should we do?" She was at a loss. "We have to think of a way to save them." Tang Zheng thought about how good this couple was to him and made a decision. Yi Dingdang looked at him gratefully and said, "Thank you, Tang Zheng." Originally, Tang Zheng did not need to be involved in this mess, but he resolutely chose to save them. Yi Dingdang was incomparably moved. The most important thing is to find out where these people came from. Why do they want to deal with your family? Tang Zheng thought for a moment and said, "In Yi Dingdang, anyone who dared not cooperate with them could be captured." This kind of arrogance showed a huge amount of confidence. "Shameless thug. My family did not cooperate with you, so you took them away. How can there be such logic in this world?" Yi Dingdang was flustered and exasperated. Marshall was unmoved and coldly said, I have such logic here. You. Yi Dingdang was so angry that she was speechless. Tang Zheng stared at the other party with a burning gaze, as if he wanted to study her thoroughly. This person was undoubtedly a person with exceptionally strong martial strength and mentality. Even though Tang Zheng was very courageous, facing her, he couldn't help but feel a little scared. However, now was not the time to be fearful. For such a dragon to appear in ordinary balance, he had to find out the opponent's background. If not, the territory that he had just snatched from Huangxi would be in danger. Therefore, he did not fly into a rage. Instead, he calmly asked, Who are you? Marshall was also looking at him. This was the only person she could not see through. She was faintly excited, as if she was about to find her target. However, the other party seemed to be too young and didn't show much of an imposing aura, so she was a little puzzled and didn't rush to make a move. She opened her mouth slightly and softly spat out a word, Martial? Martial arts? Tang Zheng and Yi Dingdang were both very surprised. That is my name. I come from the Martial Organization. Have you heard of it before? Marshall purposely said the two words Martial Organization very clearly. At the same time, she stared unblinkingly at Tang Zheng, hoping to see some clues from his reaction. However, she was disappointed. Other than being puzzled, Tang Zheng did not have any other reaction. Could it be that he isn't a cultivator? Hearing the two words Martial Organization, he didn't have any reaction? Of course, Tang Zheng did not have any reaction. He had never heard of this organization before. Daoist Tianji had gone through untold hardships to find out that there was an organization that targeted cultivators. However, even he did not know the name of the organization. Tang Zheng naturally would not link the Martial Organization to the organization that he was afraid of. What kind of organization is the Martial Organization? Yi Dingdang curiously asked. Marshall did not look at her. She continued to stare unblinkingly at Tang Zheng and said, An organization that specializes in killing cultivators. The two words cultivator to ordinary people was an unfamiliar word. Even a martial artist like Yi Dingdang had never heard of it. Therefore, she was confused. Other than being surprised, she did not have any other reaction. However, when Tang Zheng heard these words, his heart jumped. Martial Organization. So the organization that targeted cultivators was the Martial Organization. I actually met them. His eyes could not help but fluctuate a little. Just this fluctuation was enough, because Marshall could clearly see this fluctuation. Her eyes could not help but light up. Her eyes also became incomparably cold and filled with killing intent. She pointed at Tang Zheng and said, You are a cultivator. Yi Dingdang turned her head to look at Tang Zheng. She was baffled. Tang Zheng almost jumped up. This woman was too cunning. She actually saw through his identity. This was the first time that his identity as a cultivator had been seen through by someone other than a cultivator. Wearing out iron shoes in a fruitless search only to find it by chance. Ordinary balance. This small place actually has a cultivator. Hung. This trip to ordinary balance is truly fruitful. Marshall said to herself excitedly. Since he had been seen through, Tang Zheng did not need to hide anymore. He went straight to the point and asked, Then what do you want? Of course I want to capture you. Then I will find more of your kind and kill all of you. Marshall's killing intent soared. It caused the surrounding yin qi to violently fluctuate, causing people's hearts to tremble. Chapter 170. Tang Zheng's face turned ashen. This martial organization was truly vicious. Not only did she want to kill him, she also wanted to catch all the cultivators in one fell swoop. // Tian Chanzi angrily roared, Brat, you must get rid of her. You must also get rid of that martial organization. I'm so angry. I cannot complete this task alone, so I will need you to put in a lot of effort. Tang Zheng said, No problem. Once this matter is over, we will immediately go find a carrier. I must recover my strength and let this martial organization see the true strength of a cultivator. This time Tian Chanzi unexpectedly did not refuse. It seemed that the martial organization matter had angered him quite a bit. Yi Dingdang looked at Marshall and then looked at Yi Dingdang. It was as if she did not recognize him. He was actually a cultivator. What was a cultivator? What is a cultivator? She asked blankly. Marshall rushed to say, "You don't even know what a cultivator is, yet you still dare to be with him. You are a martial artist, so you should not be with a cultivator. Cultivators are the enemy of martial artists. We should exterminate all cultivators." It's that serious? Yi Dingdang was dumbstruck. Marshall seriously said, "It's much more serious than that. Cultivators are the outliers of this world. They are the biggest enemy of us martial artists." Nonsense. What did cultivators do to you that you have to exterminate them? Tang Jing flew into a rage. Everyone is cultivating to increase their strength. Why do you have to categorize us cultivators as outliers? Hong, this is a rule passed down from generation to generation. Naturally, there is a reason for it. It is not up to you to point fingers. Marshall disdainfully said, "If you cooperate and give up your own kind, I will let you die a little easier. Otherwise, I will make you wish you were dead. If you want to kill me, then come," Tang Zhang said fearlessly. Yi Dingdang was not clear on what a cultivator was, but she knew that she and Tang Zhang were together, and that the high and mighty woman in front of them was their enemy, so she did not hesitate to stand by Tang Zhang's side and firmly said, "If you want to kill us, then come. Don't think that we are afraid of you." Interesting. First, let me guess your cultivation level. 2nd grade or 3rd grade Qi refining. At your age, reaching the 4th grade of refining Qi is already very rare and commendable. After all, the spirit Qi of heaven and earth is so thin, it is impossible for you to cultivate that quickly. Marshall was not in a hurry to make a move. Before killing a cultivator, she liked to see the fear on their faces the most. This made her feel even better than killing them. "Sorry to disappoint you, but I am already at the 6th grade refining Qi," Tang Zhang coldly said. 6th grade refining Qi. Marshall raised her eyebrows and became serious. "You are so young, yet you are already at the 6th grade refining Qi. How is that possible?" "Hong, this only shows that you are inexperienced," Tang Zhang disdainfully said. His opponent's high and mighty attitude made him feel very uncomfortable. "Very good. It's been a long time since I met such an interesting prey. Your cultivation level is so high, which means that your kind is even more extraordinary. This time, it seems that we have caught a big fish. If it weren't for you guys causing such a big commotion in ordinary balance, we wouldn't have found this place. Hey, you are courting death." Marshall's eyes became brighter and brighter, as if she was a hunter who had found her prey. "If you want to kill me, then let's see if you have the ability," Tang Zhang calmly said. "You are too weak. There is nothing to worry about." Marshall directly walked towards Tang Zhang, determined to win. "I will fight you to the death," Yi Dingdang tenderly shouted and immediately rushed forward. However, she was fiercely held back by Tang Zhang as he quietly watched the opponent approach. "What are you doing? Don't tell me you want to surrender? At most, we will fight it out with her. We can't let her have an easy time," Yi Dingdang heroically said. Tang Zhang did not pay him any attention as he silently circulated the ancient clear heaven scroll. His true Qi quickly entered the command medallion, and a black light flashed as Tang Zhang quickly threw the command medallion out. Marshall, however, was not afraid at all. She stretched out her hand and grabbed the token. She jokingly said, "Is this the power of your treasure?" Tang Zhang sneered in ridicule. Marshall's heart suddenly jumped as if she had a bad premonition. Suddenly, the ghost messenger token's black light expanded and completely enveloped her hand. She felt a cold and gloomy aura rush towards her. Whoosh! A cold wind blew in all directions. The ghost door appeared out of thin air and appeared in front of Marshall. She was shocked. It was obvious that she had never seen such a situation before. However, she did not throw away the token, nor did she retreat. Instead, she stared at the ghost door that appeared out of thin air. A cold wind angrily howled as it swept out from the ghost door. In an instant, the surrounding yin qi increased greatly. So, a sound suddenly rang out as a large blade appeared from the ghost door. It directly chopped towards her head. This time, she finally retreated and dodged the blade. The ghost messenger token fell to the ground. A tall figure rushed out from the ghost door. In his hand was a blade. On the blade's hilt was a ghost head with a green face and fangs. It was extremely terrifying. Ghost General. Little brat, your luck is really good. You actually summoned a ghost general. Tian Chanzi suddenly shouted in surprise. What is a ghost general? Is it stronger than a ghost messenger? Tang Zheng curiously asked. Of course it is stronger than a ghost messenger. A ghost messenger is the weakest in the ghost realm. Above them is a ghost soldier. Above the ghost soldier is a ghost general. It is 2 levels higher than a ghost messenger. What do you think? This little girl is a first-grade innate stage cultivator. This ghost general does not lose to her. Moreover, the ghost general's ghost head blade is a profound level treasure. It is not like a ghost messenger that is condensed from Yin Qi. Tian Chanzi said without stopping. Tang Zheng was overjoyed at the unexpected good news. He asked, how did this ghost messenger token summon a ghost general? Hey, last time the ghost realm lost 2 ghost messengers. This is a very rare occurrence. Just now when you activated the ghost messenger token, the ghost realm naturally sensed it. Of course they would not send ghost messengers to their deaths. This ghost general clearly came to investigate the death of the ghost messengers. This little girl bumped into the blade's edge and coincidentally blocked the blade for you. Tian Chanzi gloated. Look at the idea I gave you this time. Killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Tian Chanzi said proudly. Tang Zheng could not help but admit that Tian Chanzi really did a good deed this time. Just as he was about to praise him, he discovered that Yi Dingdang was trembling. Her teeth were chattering, and her expression was uglier than if she were crying. She pointed at the ghost general and asked, what is that? Ghost general. Tang Zheng said, Ghost general, is it a ghost? Her face had already become deathly pale, and her lips had turned green. Of course it's a ghost. Tang Zheng said. Yi Dingding rolled her eyes and screamed, Ghost? She actually jumped up and jumped onto Tang Zheng's body. She tightly hooked onto his neck, and her graceful body pressed down on his body. She was trembling like a sieve. Tang Zheng was shocked. Was there a need to have such a big reaction? Hey, that's because your nerves are thick. That's why you're not afraid of ghosts. Normal people are naturally afraid of ghosts. Tian Chanzi explained. Tang Zheng suddenly realized that his nerves were really thick. When he was looking for a carrier in the morgue, he was a little scared at first. But after seeing more, he did not feel anything. Especially when he saw the evil spirits and ghost messengers, he was not afraid at all. Instead, he rushed up and dealt with them. This was not something a normal person would do. Ghost? How could there be a ghost? Yi Dingdang was about to cry. Just a moment ago when she was facing Marshall, she was still heroic. But now when she spoke, she was sobbing. Tang Zheng glanced at the ghost general. He was clearly more pleasing to the eye than Marshall. What was there to be afraid of? Tang Zheng patted her shoulder and comforted her. Don't be afraid. This ghost general is helping us. Didn't you see him fighting with that bad woman? He's a ghost. Why would he help us? Hey, I'll explain it to you later. Tang Zheng smiled and said, quickly come down. If you continue to strangle my neck, I will also become a ghost. Yi Dingding heard the word ghost and screamed. She jumped down from his body and fiercely hit him. She weakly said, don't scare me. Tang Zheng shrugged and said, okay, I won't scare you. But there's really nothing to be afraid of. Yi Dingdang gathered her courage and looked at the ghost general. She curiously asked, could it be that this is the power of a cultivator? They can actually make a ghost help them fight. Tang Zheng chuckled. He did not comment. He did not have the strength to do so. It was just a coincidence. He also looked at Marshall with schadenfreude. He coldly laughed. Want to kill me? Then I'll let you drink a pot first. It was not that Marshall had never come into contact with cultivators. She had even killed one before. However, she had never come into contact with ghosts. Looking at the ghost general, her face was no longer calm. Instead, it became unprecedentedly dignified. The ghost envoy token is in your hands. You dare to kill my ghost envoys. Today, I will scatter your 3 souls and 7 spirits. I will make you disappear from this world forever. The ghost general roared. His voice was like a large bell. It shook people's eardrums. Wherever his feet passed, the weeds would wither. This Inchi was the aura of death. Its power was peerless. Marshall looked at the nearby Tang Zheng, who was rejoicing in her misfortune. She coldly said, "Then let's see if you die or I die. All cultivators will die in my hands." It was clear that she had placed the ghost general in the ranks of her enemy cultivators. The ghost head blade flickered with a black light. It chopped down in the air. The malevolent ghost head on the hilt lit up with a black light. Then, a ghost head flew out from the blade. It opened its bloody mouth and bit towards Marshall's neck. "Roaring flame blade," Marshall shouted. Her hand chopped forward. The Inchi was torn apart. It formed a circle of ripples. Her hand chopped down on the ghost head. With a scream, the ghost head exploded. The roaring flame blade was a yang martial art. It had a natural restraining effect on Inchi. Therefore, the ghost head did not gain any advantage. But of course, the ghost general's strength was not limited to this. The moment the ghost head exploded, he suddenly attacked. The cold glint of his blade chopped down. A cold wind blew. A burst of cold air rushed from the soles of Marshall's feet to the space between her eyebrows. For a moment, she was almost frozen solid. Her expression changed. She quickly retreated. Only then did she avoid this fatal strike. The ghost head blade chopped down on the ground. A gully extended to the soles of her feet. She tiptoed and quickly retreated. The ghost general did not let her go. Like a shadow, he chased after her. Chapter 171. Seeing both sides chasing one another, Tang Zheng and the other two quickly chased after them. Tang Zheng picked up the ghost messenger command plate and put it back into his pocket. Book friends group, this was a good treasure. He could not lose it. He saw that both sides had already reached the edge of the unmarked common graves. The ghost general was becoming more and more courageous, and although Marshall was slightly at a disadvantage, she was not completely defeated. Tang Zheng could not help but feel bored as his heart moved. If I go up and help the ghost general, then wouldn't this woman be finished? Just as he had this thought, Tianqianzi hurriedly stopped him. "Little brat, do you want to die? Let me tell you, while they are fighting fiercely, you should hurry and run. Otherwise, no matter who wins, you won't have a good time." Tang Zheng was shocked. That's right, the ghost general was helping him, but that did not mean that the ghost general was his friend. The ghost general was here to investigate the death of the messengers, so wasn't the messengers killed by him? This won't do. Hurry and run. AI, what a pity. I don't know who will win and who will lose. It would be best if both sides are injured and die together. Tang Zheng cursed. This battle will definitely have a winner and loser. It cannot be reconciled. Otherwise, the ghost general will not be able to report back. So you can relax. Now you should hurry and find a place to hide. Tianqianzi warned. Tang Zheng understood and hurriedly said, "Ding dang. Let's go, one less than or equal to, right? Let's go. What's the point of watching a ghost fight with a human? Let's go." Yi Ding Dang was eager to leave as soon as possible. She was still very afraid of the ghost general. The three people took advantage of the night and quickly ran out of the unmarked common graves. Marshall looked on helplessly and could not help but fly into a rage. Kill! The roaring flame blade and the ghost head blade collided. Fortunately, she slapped the back of the blade, otherwise her hand would have been cut off. The ghost general's strength was clearly a notch higher. The ghost head blade danced in the air, and the ferocious ghost head danced in the air, circling around her like a tiger eyeing its prey. This ghost general is too powerful. If we continue to fight, I might not be able to gain any benefits. This brat actually has such a powerful helper. I really didn't expect that. Marshall already had thoughts of retreating. Although he was unwilling, there was nothing he could do. She used a hand blade to force the ghost general back and quickly retreated. However, how could the ghost general let her go? With a roar, 8 more ghost heads flew out from the ghost head blade. 9 ghost heads circled above her head, and a dense Inchi spread out. In an instant, she felt as if she was in the ghost world. All around her were the cries of ghosts and howls of wolves, disturbing her mind. To go against my ghost realm, only death awaits you. The ghost general shouted as the ghost head blade descended from the sky and chopped down. Marshall hastily blocked. However, it was precisely at this moment that she revealed a flaw. The 9 great ghost heads took advantage of this and closed in on her, biting her body. These ghost heads were not ordinary monsters. They actually directly penetrated her body and drilled in. She screamed as she blocked the ghost general's attack and fled in panic. The ghost general did not chase after her. Looking at the direction she fled, he gave a strange laugh. Ghost heads enter the body. Death is certain. Then he went back to look for the ghost messenger token. However, he found that the token had disappeared without a trace. He suddenly remembered that there were still 3 people present. They must have taken it away. Without the ghost messenger token, how can he report back? No, he must find the ghost messenger token. He looked around and finally chose a direction and fiercely chased after her. Marshall used the fastest speed in her life to return to Ding Yi. Her face was already covered in black qi. The black qi grew more and more as if it wanted to completely occupy her body. Seeing her like this, Ding Yi turned pale with fright. What's wrong? Didn't you go to chase after that little girl? Marshall shook her head and wanted to speak but found that she couldn't breathe. She felt dizzy and directly fell to the ground. The black qi instantly covered her wheat-colored cheeks. It was extremely terrifying. What happened? Ding Yi was shocked. He had never seen such a situation before. He hurriedly checked her body, only to find that her entire body was ice cold, as if she was an ice cube. Moreover, there was a strange energy rampaging through her body, devouring her bodily functions. Men, quickly send her back to the sect. Otherwise, there will be no saving her. Ding Yi made a prompt decision and immediately called for his subordinates to send Marshall away. There was no smile on Ding Yi's face as his expression became unprecedentedly solemn. He had not obtained any useful information from Marshall's mouth, but it was clear that she had been injured while chasing after that little girl. The most important thing was to find that little girl. Only then would they be able to understand what had happened. There really is a cultivator hiding in ordinary balance. Otherwise, how could Marshall be injured like this? He thought as he wrinkled his eyebrows. Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang are stubborn. To make them speak is as difficult as climbing a mountain. Right now we can only find Yi Dingdang. But ordinary balance is not big or small. It is like looking for a needle in a haystack. What should we do? The local tyrant. Suddenly, he had an idea. After Tang Zheng and the other 2 left the ancient common graves, they found that they had no place to go. He could not go home. Otherwise, it would be bad if he implicated his grandfather. Could it be that he had to find Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang's whereabouts? He already understood that Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang were implicated by him. These people from the Marshall organization were clearly here because of the commotion yesterday. They were here for him, but Yi Tianlei and Feng Xinyang did not betray him, so they were captured. Thus, he had the duty and responsibility to rescue them. He absolutely could not let anything happen to them. Otherwise, Yi Dingdang would hate him to death, and he would feel guilty for the rest of his life. The fear in Yi Dingdang's heart slowly disappeared. Her eyes regained their spirit and brightened as she looked at Tang Zheng. Even under the moonlight, it was difficult to conceal her curiosity and shock. Tang Zheng, so the Marshall organization was targeting you, right? And last night's incident with ordinary balance was also caused by you? Yi Dingdang asked with mixed feelings. This deskmate of hers was already considered a very familiar person, yet he was still hiding such a big secret. If it was anyone else, they would also feel very complicated. Tang Zheng scratched his head and embarrassedly said, I also did not think that it would attract the attention of the Marshall organization. I did not even know about this organization before. This time your family suffered an unexpected calamity. I am really sorry. Yi Dingdang snorted and said, You really hid it from us. You are actually a cultivator. That's right. What is a cultivator? It is not a thing. Pei, that's not what I meant. What I meant was that cultivators are the same as martial artists. The only difference is that they practice different cultivation methods. Martial artists focus on the interior of the body, using martial arts to cultivate inner strength, thus increasing their own strength, while cultivators absorb the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and transform it into their own true chi, which is similar to martial artists. It is not like what martial artists say, water and fire are incompatible, so we must destroy the other side. Tang Zheng explained clearly. Yi Dingdang suddenly came to a realization. So it's like this. I also feel that that woman and even that martial organization is making a mountain out of a molehill. This society is all-inclusive. How can they only allow one group to exist and exterminate the other? Tang Zheng quickly gave a thumbs up and praised. Very good insight. I also think so. But these people are really annoying. Although we have temporarily gotten rid of them, it does not mean that there will be no trouble in the future. Tang Zheng felt very helpless. Wasn't he just practicing a cultivation method? He did not provoke anyone. Why did they have to exterminate him? First, we have to save my family, Yi Dingdang said impatiently. Tang Zheng nodded solemnly. Of course,